Start your recording. I'll record on this computer, correct, Vince? Don't record. Okay. All right. Okay. Okay, good. And is that ready now? Okay, this is the official announcement then. It's the 91st Cache Knowledge Seekers Workshop, and it's Thursday, December 10th, 2015. And once again, we'll be at the Spaceship Institute with Mr. Kesh of the Kesh Foundation. And he'll have what he promises to be to show us something that we've never seen. He's mentioned. He's hinted at something to do with crystals as well today, and we're all looking forward to whatever it is that's on the radar. Okay, Mr. Kesh, I think we're ready to go there if you are.
Yes, good morning, good day to you. As usual, wherever and whenever you listen to these broadcasts, this is the 90 plus workshops, and hopefully we can carry on to furthermore teaching in totality of what this technology will bring. Today, we open a new door in the world of science. What this means, for the first time, we go beyond what I call one of the most respected scientists in the history of man, known as Tesla, could not carry on through. We show a limitation beyond the strength of what Tesla understood, but could not show. Tesla understood physics in magnetical direction, but he never understood position of the plasma, that it has both gravity and magnetic. He's one of the most highly respected scientists in the world of physics, and I consider him the only scientist who understood the physics in a real way, but he could not complete his work. Maybe today we add to the knowledge what Tesla brought us. You will see things which at the present science is unacceptable. We'll show you technology which from now on the Keshe Foundation and the Innovation Center work on, and will carry on to adding to the knowledge. One of the main things which has been the backbone of the work is the conversion or excitation of the plasma using what man has already achieved as using the vibration of the plasma of electron, which is a very small, but is a good initiator for the release of the power from the bigger plasmas. A lot of you in the past few weeks made all sorts of steps in making coils like this, and I stopped you on your track, some of you, because you were going too fast, or there were some corrections needed to be made. A lot of you tried, connected, received your units, but you say you do not see any results. In fact, if you have already connected your systems to the main which you received, or you connected your systems which you built and you connected it to the main, you have already started producing energy surplus from the plasma. But as I said, you've all been looking on the wrong side of the wall because you're so concentrated on trying to do one thing to prove it's wrong, or it will be there, that you miss the whole ball. Somebody who showed the beginning of this and you all missed is with us today. Alex is back. He went to Nigeria, setting up the Nigerian Keshe Foundation Center, and now today he's with us. If you remember, I keep on telling you, everything is in front of you, but you all have missed it. Good morning. Everything is with you, and you all have missed it. Go back to the teaching of Alex. All of you saw something, but you could not connect one to the other. And this was and has been your biggest problem. If you remember, when Alex showed you the beads, he made the beads in any shape and he connected them, and he connected the second loop of beads together. What he did, what we showed that the system is working, and if you remember was in the center in teaching in training, was that we connected this to 2 meters. 1 meter showing what was coming in, and 1 meter was showing what was going out. And if you remember, the ratio is between 3 to 6%, depends on how you do the job. It varies on the thickness of the material. It varies on the way you wind your material. So you can have 1, 2, 3, and we have achieved up to 8 times return. This is what you, all of you, in all your systems have missed. This is exactly what all of you done up to now, and when you received the system from us, out of your lack of understanding what was there, you connected your meter, you connected it to the stacker you made, and you connected it to the load. And you say, the meter doesn't move. Of course it doesn't move. It will never move. Because what you take is what you put back out, but you don't use the feedback. What is the 3 times, 4 times which you have supposed to harvest? You do not harvest what you take in. Your harvest is on return. Gravitational plasma is always stronger than magnetical. Magnetical is giving, gravitational is taking. If you don't take enough, you have nothing to give. So what you've done, you put back into the grid all the energy for past 3-4 weeks with all the units they made, but you never utilized it, and you're all watching a meter. You're watching a meter which is actually feeding back into the grid. You're not harvesting it. So I told you we teach you the system what to do today. We told you to condition the home. There is a reason for it. If you wouldn't done that, or when you build your system, you don't go through the process of conditioning and connect directly, you're going to blow your system up, you're going to have blowing your house equipment up, and then you say the system doesn't work. We explained to you, it's in your manuals, and we told you, if your meter of the house is there, and this is the furthest point in the house, connect your unit here and add a small load. That what you're going to do is by connecting it to the house, you will start plasmatically coating all the wires in the house, that by the time you move the unit back in its place and you add it, you have made sufficient coating on the wiring in the house that you can start process of coating and using your system. The coating, initial coating is needed because once you move your unit back to its original position, back to its original load, whatever you make as a plasma, you'll be using it as energy. So you have nothing to coat anymore unless there is a surplus somewhere. So what you all have missed, I think you better sit, Stanley, you two better sit here, listen today, and then carry on afterwards today. Okay? So what you have missed and what you did not understand between what was shown in training with the units and what was given to you as a power unit, And the power units which you made, the stackers you made, is this functionality. So, what did you miss? All of you, up to now, have connected your units here, or made a unit and plugged it into the wall, and you see it doesn't move. Of course, because you're only seeing what's coming out. You don't see what's going out of the house because you don't measure it. We measure it. We have a system here, double stacker. We see there is a power feedback. So what you all have missed, which you're going to kick yourself, I hope, in a way, and the power you're going to harvest from your system, depending on your national grid phasing. In certain countries, if your national grid phasing is on certain ranges, you can go up to 100% efficiency. If you have the national grid on two phases, two line, in different phases, you can go up to 66%. In most of the European nations, due to the phasing, you achieve 33%. What it means, you will see 33% reduction on the load, which is what's called 1 plus 1/3. How does it work? Now, what have you missed? What you missed is you did not harvest the fruit of your hard work. You just put it in the grid. If you have had a system on a grid for past few days, not on 11 watt, we've seen some crazy people have put 11 watt and they expect to nanocode the whole thing. We told you to build it up to half a kilowatt, 2 kilowatt. You will see something very strange. Go back. If your meter has been on and loaded the sequential, ask or pick up your electricity bill from last year for the same period and look at your electricity bill for the period you've been testing. You'll find out you already start making the saving, but you were not looking for it. What it means, while you've been running your test, you've been feeding your general meter, compare your bills. This is what we've done. Take your bill from last, let's say November, and then look at the bill from this November. If you have been carrying the same kind of activities, it should be about 30% lower than last year. But what you've done, you haven't measured it. What you got to do, when you make your unit, you take your unit back to the furthest position in the house again, put whatever you see you want reduction on, load one of the standard loads which you always use as a last plug. A fridge, air conditioning, a lighting, or whatever which is continuously there. And then all the loads which you use usually at home, which you all missed, is got to be plugged afterwards between the meter and the unit. This is where you harvest your energy. This is what you all missed. When you put your meter and you look at the units which some of you made to see if it works, and you went on the internet and you put your meter, the unit, and the load, and you say nothing has changed. This is your meter, this is your unit, and this was your load. You never understood. Your monkey see, monkey does, like bunch of not understanding the technology. You fooled yourself, and you call it a hoax. The hoax is you because you do not understand the technology. What you should have done, you should have put your load here. How can you show you're harvesting anything when you put 500 watt energy unit here, and then you put a 2000 watt here, and your meter reads 1,400 or 1,500. You're using 2,500, but you're actually paying for 1,500. 30%. You can push the limit to 2 kilowatt weight of resistance, which whatever that gives you in power, you'll get the reduction on. That's what we call them a power unit. We don't call them a generator. So What you've done, what you should see, your power, in some cases, if you nanocode long enough and in a different proposition, you can push this to the limit of zero depending on how you connect your system and how the phasing in your city or in your building is. If part of the house is on one phase, you get part of it. If it's on the other phase, in totality, you bring everything to zero. So all those who call it a hoax, you never understood. You're a bunch of monkeys who were there to prove you're wrong, but now you understand you never understood. You're a bunch of thieves. Those who understood and stood by and followed the process, all you need to do now is harvest the energy of the system, which is feedback. The feedback of the plasma, you have not harvested. But if you run the systems in your house for past month, you already received the benefit of the bill reduction. If you can produce a three-phase system that covers the three phases of the electricity at the center, then you receive zero bill. This is what we said, and that's what will kind of happen. What it is, what you do not harvest, the grid gets coated, and then your neighbors use. And then when all the three phases in different area are connected to the center, in 6 months, 12 months time, you all receive a zero power because you're all contributing towards power supply. So those of you who receive the power unit, those of you who build your power units, irrespective of nano-coated, good morning, nano-coated by firing, nano-coated by caustic, nano-coated by electric methods or whatever, you all should receive more or less the same power output. If you cascade it, and you can cascade it properly, you should be able, in specific cases, achieve zero power by cascading before, which means you power to power. Then your 2 kilowatt goes to 5.4 kilowatt, which means you can go to 3 times more minimum, which is, if you look in so many ways, 500, 1500. So whatever you use here, more or less, should become free. It's you who chooses how much power you use at home. It's you who's got to choose how much you want reduction on the 2/3 and where you're going to put it. But one of the most important things which all of you have to understand, because this is actually a waste of time, but you're happy with it. You're happy with the crumbs. You can have all the crumbs you like, because you have become a bunch of figures of energy from the time of the atom. As long as you have energy, steal food, kill animal, steal technology to have free energy. Nothing has changed. You kill the animals to steal. Now you want to steal the technology to assault it because you don't understand. You never understood the principle of the creation. The principle of the creation, we are not here as a Keshe Foundation Space Institute to give you these technologies. The Keshe Foundation Technology Space Institute is to take man into deep space without dependence on matter, food, or whatever, but to be able to understand the work of the plasma. And none of you did. You're a bunch of thieves who have come to steal from your nation, from your other brothers, and call the others thieves not to show how thieves you are. Understand the technology. I knew all of you will come and say the guy is a hoax and the rest of it. The ones who stole from us our life in Belgium, now they stole the books, putting it free. We told you for years they're intimidating us and nobody believed. Now you've seen how they intimidate the whole lot of you. A man who had access to the books on an e-book because it was loaded it on and gave it everywhere, as a revenge, intimidating me and the rest of the foundation. This is the intimidation we stood for years by this man. Now he's intimidated all of you. But in essence, you forget what I told you from the beginning. Stealing of the books. The ones who downloaded the books without paying for it, I told you, are those who will never benefit by the knowledge because it's the habit of your stealing. And the man, the devil who puts it on, is the servant of his own misguided work. Anybody who downloaded the books thinking the thief in Antwerp has put it out, the two do, believe you understand, this is your habit of stealing. Forget about stay on earth because that's where you're going to be. When you go into a space, you become thieves by the same habit. There is no space for thieving. So understand something very well. We got intimidated for 10 years by the same man. Now you've seen intimidation on the websites, and now you see the full work of a devil. He didn't intimidate us. The books which are downloaded free is your judgment, but the money which hasn't come in is the money we can't give to the poor, to the people who need it, because this is how foundation works. We served through the books, and now you stole a life of a child. So be it on your shoulder with the thieves you work. This was a test, and if you downloaded it, you failed. It's on you, not on us. Because now I'm going to explain to you how the plasma technology works. By giving and taking and positioning. When you steal, you take, you go further. By giving, you come closer because it becomes equal to you. When you have two magnets of equal strength, two plasmas of equal strength, they find position in one way or another balanced. When you take too much and you steal, you increase your weight, you create distance. This is what you call in your terminology heaven and hell. And you had the devil to help you to join his one. We got intimidated, assassination 4 times by the same man. You thought it was a joke. Now you've seen how he did the same intimidation of all of us as a Keshe Foundation around the world by plastering everything everywhere. He was the only one who had all the books in his arsenal. But this was a test for you, not for us. If you see it, you don't touch it. Oh, I've got it free, I download it. Goodbye, stay on earth because you're a thief by habit and you've got enticed by the devil. A murderer who will not stop. He tried to murder us, he tried to murder my child, my wife, and me 4 times, and now he murdered your soul. The man in the red circle in Antwerp, and you all play white. So be it on your shoulder. His address has been published on the internet of what you missed, and this is why I brought it up. Why I put it this way is try to be correct. Try to understand what you don't understand without trying to accuse anybody of anything to steal from other people. You didn't understand, we gave you a direction of the position, we gave you an instruction, now you see all your system works. Systems has a CE certificate, means it's been tested by laboratories, recognized internationally, both for the American and the British or the European market. So we don't get certificate without it. So system works, does what it says. It's you who did not know how to harvest it. You planted the seed, now just load up, put the load up in the furthest position in the house. If you made a system to demonstrate, you forgot the load, separate your meter and your unit, add a load, understand the ratio, and you see what you're saving. And whatever you save in that ratio is what you're saving on your meter. We've seen units, which we showed last week, which is done in Innovation Center in Philippines, where you achieve 0 position. The reason for a 0 position, 0 movement, is because of a small technicality which coincidentally happened to be in that experiment. The power unit and the winding and the fridge and what you saw sits below 1600 watts, which is below 2 kilowatt, and the system could feed back to itself through its capacitor. Those who understand plasma technology know what I'm talking about. We come to it for you to see. So when you saw the meter stop, a lot of you achieved 0 meter. Any of you which achieves a 0 meter reading is totally by coincidence. You are not using or you're producing as much as you're using, but your system, because of the full nano coating, has become part of the grid itself. You can literally take the meter out, take the unit out, and you still get the same effect. When you reach balanced position consumption, you will see what you produce is what you use. The system starts settling down. In 3 to 6 months, gradually you build it up. So what you saw, 0 consumption, is perfect for African nations, for the third world nations, because they don't use much. If you use a 1.6 millimeter cable, which is M14, and you use just about under 1600 watts, after a few weeks, you achieve 0. Few months. That's why you saw the meter. That's what came from the Innovation Center. But in the Western world, you will not achieve it so easy because your consumption is too much. So you can, what has happened to us? So you can control your limit by dictating the load at the end. What is it? What are you looking for? Wet cold. Oh, no problem. So the whole process comes out of how you will work with your system. Try it, adapt it. The maximum we see is 2 kilowatt to 4 kilowatt reduction. Depends how much you use. If you're a big user, you put a heavier load at the end, like in Middle East, in American, what do you call it, North America, where you use a lot of air conditioning. You put a 5 kilowatt in a cascade in the end, you have 20, 30 kilowatt free at the beginning of the meter because you harvest the feedback. But you have to understand, in the coming time, we teach you how to cascade properly to increase the power because the 2 kilowatt heater is not a heater we are looking for. We are looking for a 2 kilowatt resistance. These systems are not electron vibration power dependent. These systems are plasma power dependent. So when you put a matter, which is like a dam in front of it, some of it will come and the rest literally feedback. This is, if you understood, I have a lot of respect for Professor Mile, because Professor Mile, in understanding of the science of electronic vibration, is equal to Tesla. Because Tesla understood the magnetical, Professor Mile of Germany understood the gravitational. And now, in a simple way, when you put your unit in the back and you see you get reduction in your meter, you understand how correct Professor Mile is in his work. But he has never managed to understand in our talk and when he was present in a lecture in Belgium with us, and when I met him in Germany in his house, we went through this very well, but he could not understand that he has achieved exactly what Tesla has achieved, but in reverse. In a way, you see the work of Tesla on the 1 kilowatt, 5 kilowatt, which you use, and you see the work of Professor Miles on a 2 kilowatt, which is free energy going back. That's why Tesla could not penetrate boxes, but Professor Miles, what he calls his scalar waves, he says you can put it in a box, you still receive a scalar waves, but you cannot receive Tesla magnetic fields, what you call the Faraday box. But if you understood the work of the gravitational magnetic field of the plasma, you respect the two scientists the same because they speak the same language. But two different sides of the motorway. One is going one way and the other one is going opposite, but it's exactly going to the same road because at the end, they feed back to the same. So when you understand this, when you understand you have finished from now on with the electron vibration level, you come to understand what you have created. If you look for us to show you how it works, we made a system here for you to see that, you see, this is how what we explained to you is this what you should see. Arman, can you give me a lift, please? We want to, can you bring the camera close, or you can go back that way? Okay. This is exactly what we done. We have one light here. We have another light in the back. We have a 2 kilowatt heater. We have this light here. We have created what we have told you. You can, if you can come close, if you can read the meter, otherwise people can read it if you trust Keshe Foundation. And we have people who are not Keshe Foundations, but they're here. This is your grid. This is your meter. Reads 1131. The meter reads 1131. This is the power which is read by your grid meter. We put a 2 kilowatt load, the 2000, which is here, sorry, 1500 kilowatt. We put the 1500. Then we added the stacker unit. At this point, we have added, you can see the heater is connected to between the meter and the stacker. Then we have added a 24 watt, which is LED light on the side. You have to move. Rubin, you got to move up that way. You're on the line of the camera. Just move a little bit. No, let him sit there. Just move his chair a little bit. It's okay. Just move your chair sideways a little bit. Okay. So now, what we explained to you, you should see in your houses is, now it's gone to 129. So you have the 2 kilowatt, sorry, 1.5 kilowatt heater. You have a 24 watt heater light. We have put a stacker, 3 line stacker. Then after the stacker, we have connected a 77 watt unit. Then we put a single stacker here that after this is cascading between a 3 and a 1. After that, we put 165, which is 3 times 55 lights. If you add up, the total is 1500, 24, 77, and 165. You have 11, 6, 10, 6, 2, 70. The total load is 1,766, around about 30%. This is what you pay at your meter. This is a working system. You can see it. It's been running now for 3-4 days. Almost set it up. You see 33% reduction. And if you look in so many ways, the efficiency is around 5 to 1. $166 to 7 bit plus 77 is 240. 240 by 5 is roughly about 1100. What we told you, between 3 to 8 times. The variation in the strength, what we see, we have to confirm, It depends on the gauge of the copper you use for the winding tool. So if you use a thicker winding, we got to confirm this. It seems that you get a better harvesting of the output. So in the innovation center, they will try like M10, M12 coils that we need these to be done for the three-phase 50 kilowatts industrial use. And as we go, we teach you as we learn. But what you see is online. You can see it, 1125 at the moment. But in fact, you are using 1.766 kilowatt, or 1.76 kilowatt. So the reduction is obvious. You never saw the process. This test was monitored by Arman and me for the units which was sent for the president of Armenia. We're monitoring the same process we see in Armenia. We were monitoring it for a week, nearly a week. It's the same. We move things along, and as we learn, we teach you. So what we've seen is a single stacker added with a triple stacker to see how it works. So if you wanted the confirmation of the technology, you can ask any of the audience to come and confirm to you what is here. The meter read is confirmed 1,500 watts. The light, everything is written on each one is what it is. So you see more or less 1/3 reduction in your bill if you can manage to find a system with the coiling. You can increase your reduction to the full 2 kilowatt power that you want. Because here there's not much usage, but as you increase the wattage of the use, here you saved, what is it, about 600 watt. If you add other appliances, you reach the 2 kilowatt saving, which the system we told you. It depends on you how much of it you can take. But the system will give you 4 kilowatt plus saving. For the people of the higher order usage, they get a better benefit from the system. Don't forget the 2 kilowatts resistance on the end part is the limitation before the system, the wires can melt. You have a thermostat that switches off automatically, so it doesn't allow you to go. If you see your system stops, it means you're overloading it. So what you can do, if you go to about 1500 kilowatt, in a feedback time, you will achieve your 2 kilowatt power supply. This loading on this side will not affect your system because it's after the system. It's not touching the system, it's not overloading your system to damage it. You can put more or less, according to your grid limitation and a fuse box, whatever you like in the back. You can build sequential heaters that they switch over and you can heat up your water free. If you understand what you do. In a coming time, we are in the process of developing the generators, which the power units will become part of if you want. The generator development is something important for us because this will bring you to another phase. We can deliver the generator today, but the Innovation Center has to understand what they are doing, and hopefully in January, we're sending Alex back to Philippines to work with the Innovation Center that they can complete it the way they understand. We bring the best scientists of the Keshe Foundation together to work to serve humanity. I was telling Caroline today on the way here that we are spending huge amounts of money in Africa. We are spending huge amounts of investment in putting people like Alex and Benjamin and the others paying for the centers to be built and to be done. What for? We're just serving humanity. We are not getting anything out of Africa. We are giving the pleasure of the man to be free from medicine that he can't get, free from energy that he cannot get, but using their own harvest, their own material. They don't need to rely on the West that they might come. And the beauty of it is, They have their own scientists, what are called the professors of the Keshe Foundation, the first generation, like Alex and Benjamin and Armand and Marco. These are the people who come up on top. We don't give degrees. We call them masters because they're here masters to serve, not master to abuse. And you've seen Alex goes to Africa, comes back with malaria. He uses his own gas because he understands it. And within 3 days, he's ready back to go to Africa. He's so eager to go back to start the other centers that I said, you got to go to Philippines to do another job before you go back, then you can serve better in Africa. So now, up to now, you have come to see matter state. Even this power you see is in a matter state. Understand what you have created. Understand how you made your coil. You took 240 from the grid. You connected the 3 wires, one to your stacker, your gravitational. This is a live wire. This is where all the potential difference, majority difference goes. You connected it to your gravitational, and you took it from magnetical, and you brought your system back in line. You're still half man, half plasma, half electronics. But how do you know what you're doing is correct? Because in a way, here, you connect your electronic systems, whatever you have, and they all work. Armin, can you bring your American drill from downstairs, please? We showed this in the third ambassador meeting, but a lot of you didn't understand. I go through it because we start the evolution of science from today in a different way. What you did here, what we did in the demonstration, which is going to come up, is irrelevant. If you bring this here, and we start from here, if this is your box, and you brought a 240 live line to, and you took a 120 American system, or 110 American system, and it still works. This is your stacker. And then you added the 2 kilowatt heater. We showed it still works. Because here you changed, at this point in your stacker, you changed the electron vibration to, which is a matter state, into a nano-coated, gas-coated coil system. And what you took out of here, at this end, was a connection to the nano. You have no connection to matter state. You did not connect your live wire to a matter state. You connected to a nanomaterial, which is now works in a plasma condition with the layer of the gases which you put on it. And what you take from you've seen the test of nanomaterials. They are the best superconductors, super resistance at the same time. Yeah, thanks very much. Ooh, this is dangerous. Where is the back plug of it? Okay, can you plug it here, please? Plug it on this end. I hope it doesn't burn us out. This is what we showed you. What I'm going to do, let's do it here first, and then put it back on. Okay? Nope, you don't have adapter. There's an adapter there somewhere. See if you can get it. No, there's this another adapter on the table. What about down there? Oh yeah, use that one. That's good enough. That's good enough. Put that one there. No, you don't have. We had an adapter converter, 2 of them. You got it? Oh, Armand has used it there. Okay, you connect to here. It's not connected, so you're safe. And where is our plug of the heater, which is there? You see the light. Hopefully we don't blow anything up. You have a 240. You have a 240. This is the American system broken by arm. All working at the same time. Because now the 120, 240 all work out of the plasma and not out of electron vibration. This is what you all have missed. From this point on, you can decide anything you like. It's so important, if you understand it, that you all have missed it. The work has changed. From now on, from this point, whatever you get, everything you have is in a plasma condition. In plasma trying to feed back itself, it releases this energy, which you see. Most of the energy which you receive on your wire, it doesn't actually come through the unit, it comes from its environment. You create a plasmatic environment in your house. And in the coming time, we show you how you can achieve wireless transmission of energy just by units you have at home. It's the same as your body. In your body, your neurosystem, which is your current flow, is not the carrier of all the information. The information, even to go to the gans through neural system, is too slow. It carries around you. That's why you have what you call aura. Your aura is not all field coming out. It's part of your information carrier too. So the same way, the wiring of the house is like your neural system. In a coming time, the whole structure of your house becomes part of the plasma. This is how the universe works. We are part of the plasma of this planet. We are part of the plasma of this solar system and part of the plasma of the galaxy. So it's the same process. Now we indicate initially the way we want it to go. When we take the wire out, the two ends know each other. But you have to set it up. This is why when our Brazilian friend said, excuse me, can you stop that please now? Just shut it down. Yeah, please. Because you keep on clicking. You're scanning. Stop. So what you see is the whole structure is based on the plasma technology. But what does it mean? What does it do when it goes part of your plasma technology? How can you utilize it? You've seen the drill, American 120. You've seen the light on 240 base. But what's next? What can we do with this plasma? I'll tell you something very interesting. Why don't you feed yourself? This is a coil with 240, with 120, plus me. What do? Now I am feeding myself. Do not do this at home unless you know what you're doing. It's the same coil. No difference. I decide if I want vitamin B from it. I decide if I want oxygen from it. I decide what I want to take from this. I hold both gravitational and magnetical. I give and what I take at equal rates. The change of life is in your hand. You decide from now how much you want to change. If this is one, do not try this unless you know what you're doing. It's the same, more of the same. You can hold the whole container. This is a stacker, 3 stacker. The same process. You can hold it. You decide if you give to your physicality. In the middle core, you give to your emotion, or you touch the top, you add to your soul. In time, in next term, we teach you what to do. Now, when I told you the evolution has come, The evolution comes in a very simple way. Do you need to go and buy food? If you know what gans to use as a coating, you decide you want orange juice, you want alcohol, you want meat, because by coating the gans on the layer, you literally decide what you absorb. Remember, you did this, but you did it in a matter state. You put the orange on the top, and you put a cup, and you put the water. You absorb the energy and the taste of the orange in the cup, in the water. Your body is 60–70% water. Why do you need the media of something to transfer the energy? The game has changed. No man, if you understood from tonight, who can find a way to create a coil like this, needs to sleep hungry. But if you can produce enough of these units around the world with the same kind of mixture and add to link them up together, you can change the hunger of the man, the hunger of the emotion of the man to kill, and to promote the soul of the man. Because if you understood the structure of what it actually, the three coil I got you to make, and like a sheep to the slaughterhouse, as I say, you did, look at yourself. This is the body of the man if you want it. You entered, you fed it physicality, electron vibration, energy. You fed the physicality. When the physicality is perfect, there is no hunger, emotion changes, you elevate your emotion to peaceful condition, and if you elevate the emotion, you have already elevated your soul to the soul of universal community, which is no hunger, no war, no need. So how do we do this? How do we go into the next step? Pardon? X. How do we do this? How do we promote our soul? How do we promote the humanity to the steps of world peace? Is to eradicate hunger. When we eradicate hunger, now that you've seen how simply your power supplies has become the point of your food, why don't we make, as Keshe Foundation Worldwide and the rest of humanity, units which at this point, instead of feeding a drill, or creating a light, or giving to me what I need to feed our energy, to our physicality, that it can feed our emotion and stops all the wars. The reason I brought this so rapidly forward, I explained in the other teaching, is because of what happened in Paris 2 weeks ago. A lot of people told me, and you've been in some teachings, what is your response to the situation in Paris? The Paris situation is set up to start a third world war. We know what is behind it, so we stop it. If you are a man of peace, make one move. Change the feed, change the emotion of the man, and then we'll see what I call the work of the devils, who starts with the paymasters and then their workers sitting in a red circle in Antwerp, comes to a stop. Because the bigger plan is a huge third world war, which we saw what was the French murder for. It was a well planned, well designed, the same as 9/11, the same as what happened in Tehran 35 years ago in Iran. They burned a cinema with 700 people in it to start a hysterical and evolution. We saw with 9/11, we saw with Palestine, we saw with Libya. Now the Paris, no Palestinian ever shot a bullet in Paris. Dead bodies were brought in from Syria, put in there, hysteria to start a cause between the races, between religions, and in amalgamating more wealth and power for the thieves of the souls. So now we release the energy, we release the knowledge, and Keshe Foundation in the coming time will release systems to be able to change. every single one of you who claim to be the man of peace has to start to change, to elevate the soul of the man and the hunger of the man. You have a battery, you have a plasma system, you have made your coils. If enough of you with the right emotion set yourself up in these systems, what we did, we showed you how to make the coils. Then you nano-coated these coils. Then you stack them up in trees in what you call your power unit. But there is one piece you have forgotten. You have to correct the man to itself. If I can get it right, you will see. Put your stacker, coat them, and then, like a transparent crystal, insert, instead of the balls of the GANs, a crystal in the center of your coil, where you don't scratch your system, but you can place it in a way that your system, with full transparency, if I can get it down, I try to expand it that you can see it. If you get the system equal, what you will have is something like this. Your physicality, your emotion, your soul, and because crystal is transparent and equal, will transfer energy to balance the whole lot. The point on the top will allow you to share, to give. This is your wish. This is the strength. 8 times more, 100 times more. But how you connect these, if you can, you got to make a central grill, cut a piece end off, and what you do, this is your coil, this is your crystal. You need to create a condition, a hole here, that you can fill it up with the gans of CO2. Pure gans of CO2. And then what you find out, the way the power has come in going out, instead of going to a system, will elevate the perfection of the energy of the soul of the man. Because it's the soul which gives at the end, not the physicality or the emotion. Because they give to the higher, and the higher you share. If you're not afraid of losing your life, you'll find out collectively very much, as I explained this regarding Italy in sharing energy, all these candles of peace, I call them, will link up. And as we said, in respect to your house, this will cover the whole of humanity. There is no difference, just a different size and scale. So they create tool of war, we create emotion and the plasma of peace. And that's what the purpose of the Keshe Foundation is. You're in Africa, you're in Asia, wherever you are in the world, find yourself a clear, transparent crystal. If it's connected, it's no problem. Even if you can get small ones, but in somehow pin to pin connected, you still achieve this. If you can't get hold of big crystals, small crystals, you can pin a hole in, put a CO2 in it, the same as the balls. Connect them, that one feeds the other, and in a matter of weeks, we will find out people start talking about peace. I told you, and I always misguide you because it's the only way you can go ahead, and you've been reacting, is we wrote the road peace map. We gave the governments time. In fact, I gave you lot time to start understanding this, that you can still implement it in the time frame you want. No government will stop the war, because war and energy has been the biggest contributor to the private bank accounts of the world leaders. I used to be in the oil business. I know. We import a barrel of oil into any nation, the presidential share is $1 per barrel. Any nation, majority of the world leaders, their pension comes from the energy payoffs, in the name of their grandchildren, and the children would never existed, but they have Swiss bank accounts. We've seen it in the past 48 hours here. The man sat from among us, being a saint, but we know he does not exist. There is no birth certificate for him in the country he's born. There was plan for assassination here today, but unraveled because of the intelligence. And you know, the man has disappeared. We don't see him. He does not exist on a birth certificate or death certificate of the United States as a nation, but he claims to be an American. What they call dead man walking. But the dead man now died because they created enough mayhem. So if you sit around Keshe Foundation, if you join today to see how your energy system works, look, it's come down to 10 now. 10.99. Even while we are here, it's still working, reducing its power from the main. 10.99. If you leave it low enough, it will come to zero. In time, it affects the whole environment of this room. In so many ways, I did not bring you here to give you free energy. I brought you here to make man a peaceful nation. Here you're sitting from all over the world. Romania, Slovenia, Italy, Korea, Hungary, Australia, Nigeria, American Armenian, and God knows the worst lot of the lot, Iranian, who's teaching you the wrong thing. But the purpose is to unite man, not to give you free energy. But in a way, this power unit was the carrot to get the donkey moving. And the donkey now has moved. You all have learned how to make a structure of your own life in the physicality of what you call a stacker unit, energy unit, a coil. But if you look at it, the structure of it is the structure of every cell in your body, the structure of universe, and the structure of the creation. You have a magnetic gravitational, and then you have another magnetic gravitational, your emotion in respect to your physicality of the cell of the man, and then as a unit in interaction with the rest. So your greed has brought you to what we wanted. You want peace. From now on, peace is the hand of the man. Don't blame your world leaders, because when you blame them, you're one of them. A lot of people ask, why do you put this technology out this way? Because this is the only way to satisfy the greed of the man. And now we've done our job. You're hungry is for you lot to understand what is the hunger. Can you satisfy the soul that you do not need to satisfy the physicality of the emotion? Or do you need to satisfy the physicality itself? In a way, you have the whole system in your hand. We gave it to you as a packages. There we are. And Armand brought it to you right in front of you, and we put it to you last week or the week before, and you still didn't see it. I put it out to you the same again. It's the same unit. Here, you connect plasma into a matter to get a matter coated. From now on, what do you want from this end? You decide. You connect these two in a way you see, or go back and do what we have shown. We tested this yesterday. You connect every single disk to one of the three lines of your plate. Your live, your neutral, and your earth. Earth is the matter of physicality. Your neutral is your emotion, and your phase should be your soul. So see how you want to feed yourself, and see if you're strong enough to handle your soul without killing yourself. Or feed your physicality enough to elevate your soul through your emotion, and see if you can hold the wires. Don't try it, because 99% of you will die because you're not ready for it. When a man knows he's ready with his soul to serve and join in the universal community, when he's straight with himself, and when, like here, you see it's one wire, you connect to the power, be it plasma or grid, but here you connect to nano-coated material, and if you can touch the beginning and the end, which means you're gravitational and magnetical, that you are equal and fair with the system, you will not die. Otherwise, the death is certain. And out this way, now you are the other plasma, where, in fact, the light, this light, on my face. Oh, no problem. I'm bold and dirty. It's no problem. So, what's going to happen is, if you can create the real balance, is that that's important, in the fields where you're magnetical and where your gravitational of the magnetical balances, you find peace, you'll be the man of peace. And you'll find out if you can achieve that without killing yourself, because if you take too much, you receive too much, you just blow up. If you give too much, you diminish because there's not much of you left. But don't forget, your 240 balance is your indicator, if you're a taker or a receiver. If you can be in balance and you can survive the two, then you're ready for a space. Because in the space, you never make a mistake. I did this test with the knowledge seekers in the Sansano, but in different form. I sat them in front of a detector, and I told them to give, and I told them to take. You remember? You remember, Arnold? And I could see the guy who's there to murder me, I could see him. And I could see his assistant within the students. The behavior was right. I could see my own murderer, but my job was to be silent. This is how you will test yourself. Don't choose to go to a space if you haven't managed to find peace on earth of equality. If you're still greedy, you will die because you're taking too much, so you explode without giving much out. But you claim, I'm very generous. I bet Bill Gates will not have much time with it. The big philanthropists will go flumping and trumping everywhere. You'll find a farmer, a peasant in the depth of Africa, which gives you a piece of bread, half of what he has, he will survive because that's all he has to give, but he gives it. This is not your energy test unit. This is the tester of your behavior. And you all thought, now I'm going to have a free system. There is something wrong with the guy. You fools, you walked into it. When we bring the space technology, this is your meter. You can touch it, walk in. You don't touch. Your fear of touching it, don't come in because we only take man of peace into space. And don't forget, even if you find your way in, the system will defeat you because it's imbalance. You can't be. I told you, next term, teaching goes totally in different direction. And the innovation goes from now on not to make tools of a pen or whatever. We still make the pens because some of you still, that's the only way you see, but it goes on the transmission of the plasma. You work through understanding of the emotion of the plasma. You work through correctness of the behavior of the physics of the transfer of the energy through both magnetical and gravitational. In a way, the day of judgment which was promised is here today. And this is your gatekeeper, your biggest fear. You were afraid how I'm going to be judged. The day of judgment, you make it and you judge yourself. I wonder how many of you will hold both ends. Ahmed says, I did it. That's why you're here. Very few will touch and walk away alive. That depends what you touch too. No, the two wires together. The wires from magnetical and gravitational. So, look, it's 1085, it's still coming down. They will come down gradually to zero. So, if you thought you come here today and you see how to work your energy units, physical energy units are there. You get your reduction. If you nano-coated and you gas-coated it, you still get your reduction. But if you come here to be part of the Keshe Foundation Space Institute, to enter into the world of the universal space technology, I have given you a tester of the devil. You decide which way you're going to go. It's very much when you go to Rome. That's why we are here in Italy. When you go to Rome, there is a hole with the mouth of a lion. And you have to put your hands in. Am I correct? To see if the lion will eat your hand or not. You see a lot of people hesitating. And they know there's nothing there, but it's on the judgment of its stupidity. Would they grab my hand or not? You've all seen it if you've been to Rome. People queue up to test their own stupidity, but it's in a way, it's the same lion. See if he eats you or you can become home with it and live with it. The process is not in my hand anymore. Those who plan to assassinate me live today here on the screen, they lost. So we dictate. We dictate peace, we dictate equality, we dictate unification of the man through the knowledge. When you all have what you have, and you can promote each other's soul, not yourselves, then we are ready to take next step to join the universal community, what we promised you. A lot of people could not believe assassinating another scientist like this would have been so easy. Coming here as a man who loves you, and then having clandestine activities pre-planned by his masters, not knowing you enter within a certain environment, your credit runs. We check on every single reading of you, and we check things in the background. You were told last week there is a plan for assassination today live on the screen. And the man came here and sat, but he disappeared. And the man doesn't exist, even he carries an American passport. Never born in the United States. And you all met him, you all befriended him, you thought he was a very good man. Assassin in the clothes of a sheep. I informed the closest people of me on Friday and Saturday there is such a plan. And on Monday we saw him. So we pray their soul. We don't pray, but we hope through us giving, we elevate their soul. I have a message for my friends in Mossad. Please do not try to assassinate, but try to work with us to achieve peace. The hand of peace from Iran is still on the table. We negotiate for peace with you, or using the technology, we change the mind of the leaders of Israel that they don't even know why they are fighting for. I gave the warning, now we can act on it. Any questions? Yes. Pardon? Yes. What Caroline asked me is how to seal the guns of the crystal. When you take your crystal, what I call the candle of peace, or the crystal of peace, is very simple. When you cut it, it'll be very difficult for you to cut. You cut a piece off, you drill a hole inside, you do not put glue on the whole end of your cap, because it has to be the same as the rest of the crystal. You glue it somewhere before, because if you look at it, you got two rings, and the hole sits somewhere here, so you glue it before it to allow unified fields to distribute. Do not that the path of the field is unified. You don't get any changes, because what it does, most probably if you are using a drill, your drill will follow this as well. So the unification of the field is complete. What happens here, you add, this adds to the other one, and it adds, and then when it comes to the soul division, you have a full done. But don't forget, your field still come through. Any other question? Where is your microphone? I'll get your microphone. I'm a sound manager today.
What are you using to cut this
Pardon?
crystal? What are you using? Are you using
I don't
metal?
use. You got to find somebody to do it for you. Here we have a guy called Giovanni. He knows somebody who can do. He knows everybody. Somebody can do something. He is making a hole. Diamond cutters.
So we can't use a metal blade.
I don't know. If you find I don't know if you know it or not. I'll go back on this. If you've been in diamond business, you, what do you call it? You don't cut diamond with diamond. We cut diamond with a very thin, fine, 100%, 99.9 copper disc. Depends how you cut it and the speed of the cut. Crystals are like diamonds. They can be cut, but it's got to be cut a specific way. If the frequency is too high of the rotation, you can literally smash this. If I can get it, where is it? If you look here, if you can come close, here, because you're in a matter state, we have put CO2 balls. In the center, you see them, okay? Which means it radiates fields in a spherical direction that this can pick up. Here, you change that with a CO2, which is connected to the emotion of the man through his soul and through his physicality. Because CO2 is main part of the amino acid connection of the neurosystem of the man and carries the emotion. So when you put CO2, you do not deal with physicality anymore. You only deal with the emotion and the elevation of the soul of the man. And that's why we use a crystal and a CO2 insertion. Yes.
Mr. Cash, this is Sylvester, and my wife Mildred had the question: are the crystals have to be a quartz crystal or any other crystal? Is it
Any
possible?
clean crystal.
Any clean
We don't make it exclusive, but it has to be clean. You can use a diamond, but the diamond has intentions. But if you can find such a big diamond with that shape, you'll be very lucky. Worth a lot of money. I would like to have a few, please.
And also the clarity of the crystal.
It doesn't matter because the you are again going back to the pitfall of being a physical human. Is the intention when you make it. Somebody very nicely wrote on the internet that why doesn't some system work, the energy system? It's a hoax. And somebody answered, what was your intention when you built the system? There's another one behind you from Australia.
Is it possible to also wrap the CO2 like the bracelet the people are having on their arm to wrap it around the crystal?
Nope.
It has to be in
It
its
has
core.
to be from inside. The essence of creation comes from the inner side of the man.
Because
If you, in the private teaching yesterday, if you were here, I explained and I explain it again. If you understand and your intention is correct in giving to serve humanity, you will understand one thing. In elevating another soul, your own soul will be elevated. And as I promised, and it's in the writing of Baha'u'llah, blessed his name, the understanding of the man of this age is equal to all the prophet of the past. So if you have managed to elevate your own soul to understanding the correct conduct, your soul shall meet the soul of the Christ, blessed his name. I promised you and I've delivered. Now it's for you to search for it, to understand it. If your sincerity of the piece is to see the soul of the Christ, blessed his name, you will achieve it. For the first time man ever been given this opportunity.
so putting the Ganzi would not change the energy field of the
There is
crystal.
no
Has
energy.
is an
There is
entity.
no energy. If your intention is wrong, and if your energy is so much to give that the stone cannot stand it, the stone will shatter. Because the intention of giving is too much, not taking. If your intention is the wrong way, the crystal becomes powder. If your intention is to give unconditionally, the crystal will explode outwards. And it's very easy. If you want to test yourself, hold the crystal and see if while you're holding it, it shatters to pieces. Because you give so much that the whole field going out of you in a crystal cannot find a way out, because it's very much like a plasma. If it cannot float away, To find its distance, what it does, it scatters, that it finds a bigger space to give out what is received. If I hold the crystal like this in my hand, done it many times, I can tell you, within minutes it literally shatters to pieces. Without any fault, we will literally collect pieces of it. She says that's why you couldn't keep it in your hand yesterday. If I hold crystals, we've done it many times, it just breaks to pieces. The intention is to give, not to take. And when you give, you have. Don't forget, go back to your magnet. When you give, and the other is to give, we call it two north poles. The distance increases till all the fields can flow through. That's why they separate. So when you hold the crystal, which itself is transparent, it cannot give, so it expands, explodes, but it finds the maximum way to give all the energy it receives. Hold the crystal in your hand, you see if crack it, and then you understand if you are of a giver or taker. She says that's a safe practice. Don't electrocute yourself with a plasma, or don't plasmacute yourself. Who's open? Are there any other questions? I brought you the message of peace. I brought you the tool of peace. Now it's for you to implement it. My word and my call for peace goes to the world leaders as much as every man on this planet, because once you start using these units, these crystals, once you start creating the condition of the plasma that everybody can have what they want, the way they want it, as they want it, as we said that in the environment of the house, you'll find out it become wireless because you take what you like. You'll find out on this planet, the same thing will happen. That if you're part of this planet and you're there as a man, you're there as a fish, or you're there as a lion, because the fields covers the entirety of the lot, you'll find out that no lion shall eat no animal, no fish will eat another animal, and this was the promise of the Christ. We have given you the tool, now is for humanity collectively to become one nation, one planet, one race to achieve what you've been crying for. Don't blame anybody else anywhere from now on. My leaders, they took from me, my government is this, they are making guns. They make guns, you make the tools of the peace, make as many calls and give to as many neighbors as possible. Go around the weapon factories and give a free unit energy to every single one man who works in there. Nobody will turn up in the army factory. Or they find another way to produce something else except arms. The tool of peace is in your hand. Not us, we gave you the knowledge. I promised you, I'm the Messiah, and I delivered my message and my word. It's for you to carry the crystal of peace. Science in line with fairness, correctness, correct conduct, correct application, and there is no reason for man to fail. Unless man wants to fail, not to show his weaknesses. From now on, you're all Arabs. Do you know why? Arab men cover their wives and they can't have anything, they have to be virgin, because they don't want to show their own incompetence. Now, see which one of you as human race are incompetent in delivering peace.
Mr. Kesh, we've got Ali on the line here. Would you like to hear from Ali?
Yes.
I'm Rakesh. I have created this MagRav unit and I put the crystals inside of it. And basically, I wanted to show you the video of the MagRav unit with the quartz crystal in the middle.
You are the instigator of the release of the knowledge. When I heard you've done this, thought one man has made the move, and as usual, you open the door to the rest. Show it to us, please.
Do you want to
Ali
show it, Ali, or
is
shall I? Can you show it?
Ali is an Iranian Canadian living in Canada.
Yes.
This is
Rick, can you enable me to start the video? It says the host doesn't want you to show your video or something.
Okay. There we go.
Okay. Okay. So I hope you can see me.
Yes.
Hi, Mr. K. So
Hi.
I'm going to move my camera down here, and that way you can see the unit. I'll turn this light off, that way you can see the crystal. So I got two stacks here, two stacker here, and there's another two stacker here. And I use the quartz crystal here in the middle, which has gone down through all the trees right now. And I also have used a different kind of a crystal. It's called selenite. And the selenite has a really fifth dimensional property, so it can go to a higher level of consciousness and bring the knowledge down. On the other set that I have, I use something that looks like an egg. It's a selenite egg, and I put it on top of the stackers. And the stackers are on, and I did touch it, and there's no electrocution or something, so I can touch the stackers and get energy and receive energy, which is pretty interesting. And this is my other stacker, which is built like created based on the golden ratio, and I can touch it and feel the energy. You can also hold the crystals, like if you just hold the crystals or move your hand on top of it, you'll receive the energy. So it's pretty, it's really it's at a conscious level. So your body's DNA, which is double helix, and the quartz crystal, which has a double helix structure, and also the coils are double helix. They interact with your DNA, and your consciousness starts to work with plasma. So it's very interesting to work with these technology.
The strange thing is, Ali,
I just want to say I had you muted there because there's feedback through the teacher camera there. So I've unmuted you now. Go ahead.
the interesting thing I was saying is that he has written on his Facebook and shown a picture of a UFO when he did this the first time. When he put the crystal in the center. Am I correct, Ali?
Basically, yeah, it came to me in a vision at night. So after I put it was a different smaller quartz crystal, but after I put it in, it came to my consciousness that shape of a UFO, which looks like a plasma UFO, which from my speaking with John Ballum, he said that he was saying it's a plasma. There are some beings living inside the Earth. They call them plasma beings, and they are advanced race that used to live on this planet long time ago. And they have physical bodies, but they moved into a spherical plasma body, and now they are having these kind of like a flying saucers that looks like a plasma UFO. It looks like a Merkaba, and they navigate through those plasma vehicles.
maybe your intention to be a spaceman, and that's the intention which comes to. You got a feedback. Can you? Thank you very much, Mr. Ali. Thank you indeed. Are there any questions?
Mr. Cash, I have a question. This is Vivek from Singapore. I just touched my coils. It was a very beautiful feeling. What was interesting was that when I touched with one finger, I could feel the heavy vibration of like maybe 50 hertz or something like that. When I touched with two fingers, that vibration dropped significantly, like down to only 25%. And when I touched with three fingers, I could hardly feel that vibration, and it just felt very, very good. Is there a reason why that is happening?
Yes, because the first time you touched it, you took the full energy, so you find balance. And so the rest is how the process will go. Some of you will hold these units. We'll teach you how to use these units even for eradication of every disease. If you know how to use these coils, now that you learn how it is, none of you will touch any patches. I will teach you how to even position these coils. If you have cancer, within seconds there will be no cancer. But you all know the knowledge. If you apply it the right way, what it will do, in fact, if you understand some noise is going in the background, can you switch this off? Who is it? Rick?
I think it was probably in Ali's microphone or someone
If
else.
this is the body of the man, and if you look at it in the front, you place a coil on a cancer, and if this is the side of the man, and the coil is here, you attach the same coil to the other side, that you change the environment of the cancer or the tumor milliseconds. Because the outer rings of your double coil will touch the physicality, and the inner ring of the coil which touch the emotion to bring the balance, the emotion which caused the cancer originally. So when you have the body, this will feed the emotion of the cell, and this will touch the physicality of the cell. And when you put the body of the man in between, if you look at it through here, if this is the man itself, you have to know what you're doing. Don't go and jump and start doing it like a lot of you are doing. Understand the essence. It was just there, so we do it the other way around. We go from the top, which is easier. So what happens is that if you make this the body of the man in the center, where is Fabio? Can you bring the camera forward, please? If you make this the body of the man, and let's say the cancer tumor is in the middle, all you need to do is to give, because of a cancer, is always a source of emotion. What is the cancer? Because you know, if I put this thing somewhere here in your subconscious, it'll take all my energy. When I don't have enough energy, I finish with a miserable physical life. But I won't put a bullet to my head, but I'll do a different way. So this way, you feed the emotion. If the emotion is to die because the physicality has no essence of living, you will die. But if you can elevate the emotion, the physicality will go. Within seconds, there is no cancer. Because you create the environment of balance, you satisfy the emotion, and you have satisfied the physicality. It's like throwing, you have a solid ice in your hand and you throw it in the hot water. They just become part. You create not a heat, but you create a plasmatic balance. And it will be done. Man in a space will not die of any illness because all the illnesses come from the transfer of energy or amalgamation of the energy in one point. So when you touch it and you feel suddenly good with the first finger, it means you received all what it was there you needed. The others is that the body has balance. It's not the touch, it's the connection with the plasma which gives you that feeling. If you hold it, you can sit there for hours and say nothing happens. But if you find, it'll be very interesting. Touch, hold the stacker the way I did. Make sure you don't get electrocuted. That's the first condition. Not to get electrocuted, I'll give you a tip. Now you are working in a matter electron. You are always looking for huge powers. Plasma works on a very little energy, but huge dissipation of fields. Make yourself a plasmatic battery. Connect your plasmatic battery to your coil and then use it, not to electric current. Because that plasmatic battery still does the same job in enhancing the field flow from the plasma. I can see Alex going like this. He says, my beads does that. I found my power source. Correct? If you learn how to use Allen beads or you learn how to make capacitors with lining it with one layer of aluminum foil to become power units, small batteries, that's all you need to connect to your system. Then you're totally plasmatic.
And in that way, one person could actually, if they know what they're doing, touch that plasmatic battery with one hand while using the other hand, a finger on the other hand to act like a health pen to help someone else.
Good morning. That's exactly what I was going to.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kesh.
You're welcome. Renan, you're out of job, or we got you a new job to make new pens. But you got to make a coil pens.
I will make new one, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you to you and your team.
Thank you so much, sir.
Mr. Kesh, Luigino here.
Who's that?
Luigino.
Oh, every time he speaks, I don't know who it is. He just comes through the back door.
Could we put the crystal inside of a container filled with GANs, the CO2?
No.
It has to be within?
It has to come within you, not from out. Any other question? Yes. Oh, you gotta wait. You got the microphone. First of all, we don't know this guy. You better introduce yourself. But you gotta turn it on.
All right, it's Alex here. I was just asking if we could use dry guns as well in the crystal.
Pardon?
If you could use dry guns in the crystal.
Drank down.
Yeah.
Yes, it's the same. But the best is the paste.
For the paste.
Yeah. If you can make it a paste. But if you make it liquid, it's free to move. Because the gas has to be in a condition that it moves where it wants to. When you put it as a liquid, what do you call it, as a paste or as a solid, then you have restricted the freedom of the transfer of energy. Yeah? Any other question? We have dropped to 10.85 now, which is not bad. Or have I managed to silence the greed of the man for the first time? Every single one of you from today is responsible for what you've been crying for peace and equality. Because now, if your intention is clear, and now you all know how to make a system, please do what somebody who thought was very clever when he got the plasma units and they opened it and put it on the internet. Thank you very much. You thought you were very clever, but you said that's a very good purpose. All the enemies of the foundation serve the foundation perfectly. Now you all have seen what's inside it. Open, take the white clip off, put the crystal on it instead of the tube. You have your system to add to the process of world peace. But at the same time, as you're heating up your house, you're cooking or you're taking energy, you're adding to the intention of the world peace. Because we will not do this for you, you do it for yourself. Change the balls in the center to a crystal with a gas in it. Very difficult hour. Extremely difficult. The crystal sellers will have a field day. There will be shortage of crystal very soon. But I can show you another way in the coming time that you don't even need a crystal. The crystal comes from the essence of inner creation of the man. And if you understand that, you don't need a crystal. But still, as a physical man, you need something to say you're doing something. What is the laughing? Pardon? History keep on repeating. Yeah, we don't show all the way. We show part of the way because otherwise it'll be too easy and no effort done. No other question?
Oh, there's other questions, Mr. Kesh. Just trying to get things lined up here. We have.
By the way, we try, hopefully by this afternoon, to release a number of, what do you call it, a large number of information about the Keshe Foundation working. I'm waiting for some documents to come in and then we announce it as they come in. It's important for the ones who follow the Keshe Foundation. If you are part of those who want to be part of the manufacturing of this system to elevate man, go to the Keshe Foundation support system, and the time has been set by the management team of the manufacturing with Armand and Sylvester. At 6 o'clock tomorrow, all the manufacturing requests around the world will meet to start the first step of the production. And the agreements for the Keshe Foundation setup around the world is already done. From Monday is available if you want to set Keshe Foundations around the world. And if your intention is to add to part of the structure of the teaching, we will put the structure in that you become part of the teachers. Doesn't matter how little you know, but you know enough that in the process of teaching you learn more to teach more. We do our best, the rest is in your hand. And in time, if you understood what we taught in the knowledge seekers section of the teaching of the KFSSI, we start teaching the development and the structure of what you call the spaceship from next term, that collectively the 100 or so people who are around the teaching can start to show you the physical structures, which is your wish to find freedom from this planet. But first of all, you have to find freedom within your physicality, your emotion and the soul before you go do that. And I gave you the two. What's the question? Where's your microphone? You want to ask a question? No? Oh, there's a question. The battery is low. Let's see. Up to the mouth, otherwise it doesn't go.
My question might sound very weird, but
Why do you think I married you?
is it possible, if there are not enough quartz or crystals to be found, if you make your coils large enough and you position yourself as a human being in it, can you be the Gans and the torch?
That's the ultimate point of elevation. But you got to be strong enough to be able to stand, not knowing what's going to happen to you, or at least you are clear enough with yourself that you become transparent like a crystal, that does not matter what happens, I elevate the soul of the others. And then that's the ultimate sacrifice. And in so many ways, if you look at it, that's what Christ did.
Can there be flaws in the crystal when you do that, or does it have to be?
Doesn't matter
clear?
because it finds the path of the easy flow.
Rick, you as a human being are not flawless. If you can stand in it, it will work.
So we don't need a flawless crystal, just one that's fairly.
The
That
intention.
allows the intention, the matter state is irrelevant. Would your kidney stand on the direction of the flow or your liver? You have a blessed soul in this room. Any questions? We are still waiting.
Okay.
Now they call it a day.
No. Is there a desired diameter for the hollowed out part of the crystal, or would the size be relative to some part of the coils?
Not really. Doesn't matter if you're a fat or a slim, if you make a coil around yourself. So the fat people can't get in, so we all have to go on a diet. Or do the slim one go fat that they can transfer more plasma? No other question? We can call it a day. And for those who were asking where is our unit, now you receive your unit. I have given instruction for a full release. And those of you who paid and retracted payment, about 10 or 20 of you, you still will receive your system. It's for your honesty to pay. If you don't pay, give it to somebody who needs it. And if you get it, and we still refund you.
Okay. Got a question from Robert Stubblefield here. Robert, do you want to go ahead?
Yes, thank you. I'm sorry, I was actually making some nano coils at the time. I'm actually just kind of wondering, I'm seeing the same kind of process here. We're putting like the copper into a caustic bath, something to release heat or energy into this. And then we put it into the saltwater solution and again put energy into this. I had the 3 plates trying to connect to, you know, the 3 parts of my body. Is this the same process kind of over and over and over again?
I don't understand.
I'm sorry. We're using energy to nano coat the copper coils and then the copper to make the GANs. We're releasing energy into the salt water through these plates to create the GANs on the bottom and the side. And then again, we're stacking 3 coils on top of each other, inserting energy, and we're getting plasma out, which is plasma is also the GANs and the nano coating, correct?
No, I think you haven't understood the process. When you put energy, is you separating molecular to the atomic and atomic to the plasma. You don't put any energy into the plasma. So
okay.
process is not what you think. The process is a separation process. And when you separated it, now it's free to emit its energy in any direction it wants without much connection. If you look at the inside the plasma of GANs of the containers you make, you will see the plasma forever is moving because each single GANs is trying to find its balanced magnetic gravitational field in respect to the one next door. And as there is a leakage or interference from the outside or inside or the next door, they are forever in motion. Very interesting point will be if you put your GANs down and look at it. We've shown this. Somebody took a slow motion before months ago in the teachings we've seen. You see flow of a GANs. It's like a river, it flows. I don't know if you have it in the archives, that video. You remember? The plasma flow. Look at the plasma flow. If you can put a GANs like a disc, if you take your rings as a vertebra and put the GANs as a disc like these rings which was just mentioned that you put around your arm inside it, and see which direction the GANs flows. It shows you if you are giving or you're taking. So what you can do, you might not see any emotion, but if you can put something in there which is a GANs that's slightly different, as like your vertebrae in between your rings, then the flow should show you if your system or your plasma is in motion and in which direction is rotating. In so many ways, even if you put a GANs ring in there, you should see if there is a float, in which direction of the float, how much you are losing. But you got to develop it in a way that you don't interfere with the flow of the totality of the plasma.
Great, thank you very much. I just want to take this moment too to say thank you very much. I really appreciate everything that you've done for everybody here, I guess. And the way that you've done it, it was incredible. You really got it planned out, our evolution into a free society. And I just want to say I really admire that of you. Thank you.
You're welcome. Don't forget the motto of the Keshe Foundation. We are here to serve and not to be served.
Okay, Nadine asked the question for Mr. Keshe. Is it possible that the plasma of light crystallizes the water and by doing so crystallizes intention to matter?
I don't know. Won't you call that humanity, the birth of a physicality? Isn't that what we do when we regenerate children?
That's a good point. Tim Carthy wants me to ask you, he says, I have a very dear friend with cirrhosis of the liver. What is the best way for to connect him to the stacker with the crystal in the middle? Or
I didn't tell you to connect it with the crystal. Crystal was so indicated to replicate the physical body of the man. So it does not do the work. It means you have not understood the totality. And if you look at the crystal as a pin, like to create maximum energy, be careful you don't create more energy inside to do something else. So when you use the rings, you create a balance in respect to the environment. You're not target shooting. You're not playing dartboard game. The cancer or any other disease in the body of the man is always considered in respect to his totality of his environment. When you have a cancer or when you have a disease in your body, when you put your systems, if you look at it, this is your head and this is your body. And sorry about the legs. Marco says I draw very different ways. But when you put your system here, you have a combination of the fields. You are not targeting the damaged cell. You are creating a balanced environment in the whole structure. This is the way you talk is the old way and not understanding the totality. The way we teach is the work of interaction of the plasmas, where every cell has to find its own balance in respect to its environment. Next question. Not you. You asked your question. Finish. The battery doesn't work.
Battery is working, don't worry. My next question is, if you use that, what if you just use your coils and you can place your intent in the middle
How do you place your intent in it?
without physically being in it?
This is what was the intention of Christ, blessed his name. He gave the intention, but with it they took the physicality and they thought they finished it.
Can you repeat again?
But the intention stayed. When your intention stays strong enough within the structure of the emotion of the physicality, the intention is carried out because it has enough strength to reach the ones or the plasma of what you call another thought that you want to affect. And the stronger you release, the more you achieve, the more you reach.
So you don't need to go physically within the coils. You can place
That was
it.
your saying, not mine.
No, that was my start, so I keep on working on it.
Oh my God, you've been working on it for 20-odd years.
Because you just explained something when he
She
didn't.
always asks these questions. He can't.
They can, because
He can't. You don't need the physicality of the crystals. You don't need the. If you understand, you don't even need the coils, but at least it's half interim till you find out the position of your own soul within the structure of your physicality.
because if you have explained through the medical sections and through all this, we are carrying everything ourselves.
Very much so.
We just have to become one with ourselves.
If you become one with yourself, you become one with the others, and in becoming one with the others, you become totality of one. I made man in the image of myself. So, in fact, you're totally one with the Creator.
You just have to accept it.
You have to understand.
Mr. Kesh, this is Robert again from Utah. That's kind of what I'm talking about. In my videos on YouTube, I actually, on the comments, I kind of let people know that in meditating in the same room and then doing energy work and so forth, I almost feel that I can have somewhat of a bit of power over this. I wanted more GANs. I prayed for it, meditated with it, and now I'm creating GANs in my waste bucket. The nano-coding process got simpler and simpler. I mean, just everything kind of falls into place. I almost feel like it's I'm taking control over my own situation. And I don't know if that's just a natural consequence of doing this work or if there's something else to it, if it's affecting me in some, I'm not exactly sure. I'd like a little bit more explanation on that, please.
I had somebody this morning telling me I connected one of the crocodile pins to my nail, and then I put my foot in salt water, and I sat there for 2 hours. And I connected the other one to a plate, and I produced a lot of gallons of CO2. What was the intention? Have you attached yourself to a bigger plate of zinc? Or the intention was to create CO2 for you to see something which you saw later on? Or what you wanted to see? Yes, Mr. Alex. Yeah, explain.
The intention was actually to get rid of the negative feeds from my body. That's why I put my foot, because normally if you when I get tired before I discovered plasma, I put my feet in warm water and I add Epsom salt, and then it gives me a lot of relief. So I thought it's going to make a difference if I connect my foot to the crocodile clip and then hook the other end to nano-coated copper and then leave it there for a couple of hours. And then when I did that, I got a lot of CO2.
And then what did you do with the CO2? Tell them.
I put the CO2 in a canister, and then I covered it. No, I washed it first, and I put it in the canister, and I left it for maybe about a week. And then when I came back, it became solid. It became like a powder, like the bone tissues, like some really, really white powder. And then the CO2 gases I got from there, when I used it to make a battery, plasma battery, I had about 1.3 volts.
So use your own magnesium to create good batteries.
Exactly.
But the question is what we said with Caroline when you said to us this. Caroline says, how can you sit for 2 hours doing nothing?
I was in other things. I just sat down to see what I could get, and then really I got a lot of CO2.
Yeah.
Then I used it to make some health.
You gotta bring it to your mouth.
Oh, okay, I use it to make some health reactors as well, which I think were very, very effective. Like, for instance, when I had malaria, I used the CO2 in conjunction with other herbs to make the ganses to energize the ganses of this of the herbs. And then when I put the CO2 in the container, and then I put the container in a bucket of water.
You better stand here that we can see you. What I call the Mandela of the Keshe Foundation. Explain to us.
When I put the CO2 in okay. When I put the CO2.
Wait 1 second. You better explain a lot of things. I'm going to sit down. You better have this. And I give you this. And I'm going to sit down. And then you better tell us what you're doing in Africa too, because you come back, we saw you. You locked everything up. Okay. Put it there. So explain that and then explain to us what you're doing in Africa, because you just come back as the ambassador to Keshe Foundation in Nigeria.
All right. Like I was saying, when I put the CO2 in, when I finished with when I took the CO2 from the canister, I put some of it in a container, and then I added the fields of the herbs. I don't know if you know about the lint tree. That is what they use to treat malaria. So I took the lint tree and I took the bark of the mango. I used the herbs in conjunction with the CO2 I got from my body to make another gans. And then with those ganses, I put some of them in a bottle, put some of them in the piece of a little container, and then I drop it in a bucket of water. Each time I want to take my bath, when I take the bath from the bucket of water, I feel really good. And then sometimes when I get ill, when I take my bath from the water, I put the CO2 in it. The malaria disappeared. That is one. And then you can use the extract from the herbs as well to add to the CO2 I got from my thing, from my food or from my body, my own CO2. Use the extract as well to make a lot of things. Like for instance, when I put the CO2 in, when I made the reactor with the CO2 and then I put some food on top of the reactor, it fits. I think it fits me. Maybe it's because of my field. It fits me better than when I use the normal CO2. All right, now so I'll just give you a brief thing about how my journey in Africa. Well, I've been able to I think you've seen it before. I've been able to do open one foundation, and then I've been able to create because previously when I go to Africa, I teach some students. So this time when I went back, what I do is I send the students out to the interior of Africa to go and teach other students as well, so that the knowledge is going to spread. And then I've done this in Nigeria is a big place. We have the north, south, and the center. So I've done it almost over the country. So hopefully when I go back now, I'm going to continue from where I start from. I use the limb tree and then the limb tree. I don't know if limb tree, yeah. And then the mango, the bark of the mango. That's just for malaria.
Can you explain what you mean by mango?
The mango plant.
Yeah.
You know the mango plant. Normally, if you have malaria in Africa, if you want to use if you want to do the local treatment, if you want to use it in a herbal way, you get the bark of the tree, the bark of the mango tree. Yeah, the mango tree, not the fruit itself. You get the bark of the mango tree in conjunction with maybe plantain. You just roast the plantain, not the plantain. I mean plantain leaves, the dry one. You burn it. You get the ashes. You mix it together with the mango bark, and then you use it for malaria treatment.
The African understood the work of the gans before we do, with burning it,
Well,
which is another material.
yeah, and then I met someone as well who told me something about the plantain. That if you have malaria, and then you use you take the back of the mango as well, you crush the mango, and then you use the water to rub your body, and then you use the ashes to rub it over it. Then you're gonna be relieved from your malaria.
If you've never seen a malaria case when they suffer in Africa, is horrendous. When we used to have our workers having the malaria attack, most of the time there is no cure. And you see them for days lying and shaking.
Very uncomfortable.
Very uncomfortable. And in Africa, especially where we used to work, it used to cost less than 12 pence, which is about 15 cents, for one injection to release a man, and they didn't have this money. They suffer for days where there was an injection they could receive and reduces it over 24 hours. They don't go through the fever and the shake. I witnessed this the first time. I couldn't understand how easily they have all the knowledge, but they have forgotten because of Western medicine enforced on them. The culture of herbs using the natural resources in Africa is diminishing so fast with enforcing Western medicine. And when I used to speak with our workers, it's amazing how they see their life diminishing with malaria.
And I think most of the malaria tablet they have as well, I think they actually get extracted from the herbs, from the plants.
Yes, they use quinine mainly. You take quinine.
Because I did a plasma of some of the malaria tablets. Because I didn't know the dosage to take, I didn't use it. I just used it to wash my head. But I wasn't really sure if it worked.
Quinine does, because I used to take a lot of it. when you go. But the quinine has a side effect that if you take it over a long time, it'll affect your emotion. It's a well known as a side effect of it because it's more heterogeneous material in the long run than actually anti-malaria. I used to travel to Africa unnoticed. Usually you're supposed to take 2 weeks before that you're ready when you go, but you used to make a decision to go tomorrow. We're on the flight to go because of work. So it was a matter of taking a huge dosage on the flight and just before you get in, and when you get in there. Luckily for years I never got beaten with malaria. But I've seen the suffering. And that's why I said to Alex and Benjamin, use local material. Don't look for the West to come in and to give us. And this is what both of them are doing. They're doing a huge job.
What I want to ask, is it possible to find out the dosage of when you create a plasma of medications like the malaria treatment? Is it possible to find out the dosage? Because I observe when I drink.
Yeah, but the thing is, when you make the GANs, there is no dosage. You take what you need.
Or the body takes what it needs when you drink it.
So you cannot overdose yourself.
Even with antibiotics as well?
Same. Even with cocaine. You can, all of you, take as much GANs of cocaine if you are not mentally locked to get into that state and do nothing. This is a state of the space. You go through a different kind of plasmas. We even, us here, we go through different kind of plasmas. But we only take what we need. We don't use that because I take what I need and there is enough for the one next to me to take the rest of it if they need it. So never have a fear when you use a GANs of a material that you ever overdose yourself. It's an impossibility. Absolutely impossibility. Unless you lock it in and put it there, I have to give you more. And then you find out they find a backdoor to balance with something else, even outside the body. A lot of people see this. This fly goes through the walls of the microphone.
it loves the microphone. That's a plasma fly.
It was with him there, he came here, he went somewhere else. No, I think it's one of these spy flies. Maybe. You can't catch it. Armor is the best catcher we haven't seen. Armor. It's very strange. Wherever the microphone goes, this fly appears. And it's been here all the time. We can't find it. It appears, it comes in the morning and it goes at night. Yeah. So with the GANs of the material, you can never overdose yourself. And I've done some tests in that respect. Even with the people who you try to help and you say the system doesn't work, I use the CO2, but they still have the cancer. It means you have not satisfied the emotion of the person. There is still something short. If your husband dies and you love the husband, or the dog dies, you love the dog, the emotion is still attached. It's you who cannot understand to direct the energy to feel. And then if you can direct it, all you find is connection to the husband or the dog, you'll find out everything balances. So you need the elevation to get to that point of saturation. In plasma, in GANs technology, there is no way you can overdo it. Unless you sit in there and don't let anything else go, you become like crystal, you explode. It takes so much. But in reality, it's not that. That's why you have a head and control. All our toes and fingers are in a way of emitting and receiving fields in a much faster way. Even the tip of your nose is for that job.
For receiving energy information.
Yeah. Thank you very much. He's on his way after January to Philippines to cause more problems.
That's a long way.
Oh no, Earth is very small. Build your own spaceship. You'll be there in no time. Right, now it's in your hand.
I'll work harder towards that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Thank you for all your work, Alex.
Thank you.
Can I have my microphone back before you go to the toilet with it?
And that did happen in one workshop.
Yeah, it's happened to me before.
Mr. Keshkit,
It happened. Actually, it happened on the. I don't want your wallet. You can keep your. Give my microphone back. He's giving me his wallet. It's in the wrong place. Actually, what happened? This actually happened to us on the 16th of November in the Third World Peace Conference. At the last minute, Carlos, who was the speaker, came to me. Can I redo my speech? I said, I'm on the way to toilet, and I walk into toilet, and he's trying to read me the speech, and the protection officers and the Italian security are all walking. About 6 of us in toilet, all washing hands, and it was very funny. But the microphone was open. Somehow, because we were in the basement, when we came out, it came out. And the Italian security man opening the toilet, so there is nobody in the toilet. He says, your microphone. I said, oh God, you're at it. I hope they heard not much.
The walls have ears.
Oh, sticker.
Mr. Kesh, we have someone called Libby here who would like to show you her crystal contraption. I don't know what it is yet. I haven't seen it.
Now you see, this is the problem. Monkey see, monkey does. Now we get a lot of different questions about crystals. Left-hand crystals, right-hand crystals. Can they be upside-down crystals? Can they have two holes crystals? I bought a crystal, but something happened to it. Take it with the crystal of your soul, not the physicality crystal of your what you're holding. This is what I was explaining yesterday in the teaching, or this week in the private teaching of SSI. In the center of your brain, there is a crystal, which is the center of your emotion and is a connection to your soul. So what I tell you is not something outside, and most of the scientists don't see it. The size of it is so minute that it's never been considered as a crystal, but in fact, it's a liquid crystal condition, and it dilutes everything and controls everything in your life, and is more or less, in some cases, the size of a pinhole.
Can you see on your screen there, Mr. Kesh?
No, I have to expand your
switch or something there, I think.
Yep, just wait.
Not sure, maybe.
Yep, there we are.
Okay.
Oh my God, this is very complicated system.
Oh, it's actually just inspiration from, I don't have many means, and I've been following what you're doing through the spiritual aspect, more along your beloved wife's aspects. And I nano-coated this with nature. This was just from the elements. I didn't have a big crystal. So I just added this to sit in there, and I slept with it through the night. And it was the most incredible experience. So there are those of us with limited means, but with the intention of peace, love, and harmony in everything. And it works. It works. I want to thank you and all the knowledge seekers, Mr. Kesh. I'm I'm a grandmother, older than you, and I love what you're doing. And I can only take it from my own perspective, but it works. Even when it may look complicated, it's not. I knew I wasn't going to plug it in, so I spiraled the ends because I knew I'd be willing to hold it. And nature nano-coated this, and I used CH3 GANs, CO2 GANs, and GANs made from ash of wood, and it's very, very powerful. I can feel its energy, and I just want to thank you. Thank you very, very much.
You're welcome. What do you mean by limited means?
I have no income. I chose a very hard road. I lost the legal name on purpose because I understood it's. I don't think you want me to talk about that here, sir. But I've chosen a road with no money. So I have to do with what I have. And it still works. And there's a lot of poor people in this world. And I just want to encourage you all, explore with what you have. Yeah, I don't have a pure crystal, but I had this formation. And when I added it to this, I could really feel the difference in the field. And that's all I'm saying. Do what you can with your heart and soul. And you're going to learn from this technology. And I will be learning how to bilocate. My intention was learning to really how to bilocate. And it's teaching me, and it's just teaching me through thought formations that appear. And I haven't been able to physically bilocate yet, but I know I'll get there. And I'm just grateful for all that you do. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Thank you very much indeed.
Rick, do you mind if I just jump in very quickly?
Who's speaking?
This is Vivek again,
Yeah,
Vivek
go ahead.
from
Singapore.
Singapore. Yes, Vivek.
Okay, we received a very interesting email today in the technical support, and the person who wrote the email, his name is Simon Matthews. He sent some pictures along with it, and I would like to read out what he has written in the email while showing the pictures. May I do so, please?
Go ahead.
Okay. Share screen. Okay, can you see the picture right now?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll just read out what he has written. This is what Simon Matthews says.
Blind your list, please. Blind your list. Just read it. Take it off. Don't
Oh,
share
okay.
your screen, please.
You can see it. Okay. Then I need to stop the screen share. I'll read and then I'll bring the photo back.
Okay, no problem. You
Okay.
got to remember, let me explain why we say blind your screen. There are groups of people which work through out of Antwerp with a group of what we call red circles. They look for these kind of information to intimidate, threat children, your family, and we're trying to work with the Interpol to stop this. When you put your things on, they see your data, and then they find a loophole to get in your computer, and they did the same thing with Alex and his child. Am I correct? Yeah, Alex says yes. So we're dealing with a bunch of cowards and murderers, what we call them. We don't call them, what do you call it? What they call us, hoax. It's a bunch of murderers sitting in Antwerp, supported by the people who are sitting there. And when you share your screen like this, they find out where is the loophole, what program you use to break in and to intimidate us. How do they know? Nothing. These are a bunch of hooligans of the internet, what we call murderers, which heavily supported by Antwerp. And they sit in Germany. We know who they are. The first murderer has published his own name. You can handle him yourself. You know where he lives. He was so clever to put his address on the internet, which is for you to go and see what you can do with him, because that's what they do. Don't get afraid if you get intimidated and your information goes out. These are nothing but a bunch of coward murderers sitting and being actually dictated by the man in Antwerp. So don't let one man intimidate you, and about 24 of them sit in Germany and Austria. Carry on.
Okay, Simon Matthews wrote, "Hi, myself and my friend have been working on the production of GANs and power units and have seen some odd things happening in the CO2 GANs. Notably, we have seen counter-rotating shapes, a perfect circle with a hexagonal hole rotating clockwise and a hexagonal..."
Stop. We go through the step by step. When you have a rotating plasma, this is what just we were talking about. When you create the GANs rotates. The minute you see hexagonal shapes, it means you have created at least minimum 3 different GANs layers of different strength or the same orientation. So what happens? This is what we explained in the structure of the North Pole of Saturn, and this is what we discussed with Dr. Kostova when we spoke about the structure of the skin of the man. The hexagonal shape comes when different orientation of a GANs or plasma of a GANs comes. I know this now. Where is it? Yes. Good. So what you have is different orientation of the plasma, of the same plasma, overlap each other And the outcome is the hexagonal shape. This is done scientifically by some nanomaterial scientists a few years ago. They published the paper, but they never understood why. So you can physically do it, but now that you have a liquid gas, you see it created more naturally. You see a lot of these. If you have near enough, what happened is, understand what is actually happening. It's 3 layers, and they can interact in a separate condition that at certain points they create field junctions. And then these field junctions, because now these are like a free plasma in a star formation, now they have to create a line of connection. And that's why you see the hexagonal. In fact, if you take it, it's like interaction of this point is this junction. And it's just totally, now we understand the principle the way it's created. So when you see hexagonal shape, it means you have at least 3 fields interacting with each other. It's exactly why you have 3 layers of skin. The 3 layer of skin field interaction leads to physicality observation of the skin of the man. Otherwise, it's actually a mirage. Carry on.
Okay, hexagonal hole is rotating clockwise. Hexagonal solid rotating counterclockwise. We think this is significant as it might represent the gravitational and magnetic forces at work. Your thoughts and views would be much appreciated. Kind regards, Simon Matthews and Ben Rodriguez. I'll share the screen now for the photograph.
Thank you very much, Vivek.
Thank you, sir. This is the photo that he has sent me, which is the clearest one.
We can see it, please. I said before you go to this that you showed your screen, Vivek. Anytime you see anybody calls Keshe Foundation fraud and hoax, just write underneath murderers. That's all they are trying to do.
Yes.
Then find out. That's the only reaction you need. Just reply to them, murderers. That's what they do. They take from the children who we can support. They take from life-threatening children. A man stands and talks, doesn't go and call children and threaten to kill them or whatever.
Yes, sir.
The joke, just wait 1 second, because it took me a lot of work to get Alex back because of this threat. Am I correct? Would you like to explain that people understand what we're talking about? What happened to your daughter?
They called her on the telephone and told her that his dad is going to be a dead hero.
And this is people from Red Circle in Antwerp. They call children to tell that they're going to kill their father. The father is going to be a dead heap, so that the father doesn't do any work around the foundation, that it looks like a failure. This is how we saw the intimidation of putting things around and then hijacking websites and then everything else. This is the way they work. They're cowards. Payment from the government stops when they can't carry out their murder attempts, so they come a different way to threaten. Share, please. Don't get intimidated. We are too strong now, and collectively we can overcome these murderers.
Can you see the photograph now?
Yes.
Okay, this is what Simon was describing in the email. On one side, he sees the hexagonal.
You have to expand it if you can. The hexagonal shape is here. If you don't see it,
I'll just zoom in a bit.
If you zoom in.
Is that good?
Yes, we see what we have. But you see the hexagonal shape? This is exactly what we see in the North Pole of Saturn. If you look at the pictures of the North Pole of Saturn published by NASA, you see the same. And when you have interaction, what they see as a solid is exactly because the layers, on the other hand, create the image of the solid that you would like the skin of the man. So it's in line with what we know, and now that we have discovered the GANs and the properties of GANs, we can explain these things very simply. I've taught this many times in the teaching. Now you see it in reality. Very much to achieve this, is dependent on the current, the salinity, and the shape of the container you use. You can create number of these next to each other. And as we saw a couple of days ago with the gentleman who showed us the bubbling GANs, you can make these to bubble. Then maybe you understand why even we see the surface of some planet is like a bubbling or boiling element. And if you understand this more, you understand why we have liquidity feeling and matter state on even the sun. The sun has dynamic plasmas, and one way or another, sometimes they reach balance in different layers, and we get this on the upper look. And then when the field balance is too high or too low in respect to each other, we see the explosions, what they call the sun flares. The sun flares are produced exactly like we saw with the bubbles, but they come underneath from the interaction of the fields. When the hexagonal shape of the field collapses, suddenly a lot of energy released from the bottom, and it just gets pulled up. We call it the flares of the sun. It's not that there is an explosion. It's a gravitational magnetic field gradient between the out and in, and then when it collapses, there's too much of it, it goes to the weaker, and it opens up. Thank you very much for the coffee.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Kesh.
You're welcome. It's fantastic. What we need a lot of support in the background to start archiving all this knowledge which is coming to us, all the information from all your experiments, all the health reports, all the citations. We need a lot of support in the Keshe Foundation to start archiving this. Because in the future, one of you or some of you will use this archive to add to the knowledge of man, and in the future might add to the knowledge of totality of us and help us in one condition or other. We need huge number of people. The number of the people around the foundation working has multiplied by huge number in past 8 weeks, and we see the numbers to increase to thousands within the next 12 months. You don't do it for us, you do it for humanity and the improvement of the condition for all of us. We need teachers to teach the process of GANs making, nano making, the process of now you've seen a year, 2 years of teaching how to make nanomaterials, how to make the GANs, and then we took you to the process of the coil making. Now you've seen the coils have become the source of your energy, your food, and everything else you want. So it's a development which needs a collective humanity to progress to the next level. No one dies of hunger, and we don't hear the lady a few minutes ago, I live with a limited means, because she has everything to feed herself. If we can share knowledge with most of the people that we have, they can hold the disk, they can hold the coil, and through it receive what is the intention of receiving. Some of you will start experimenting and experiencing by holding these coils. If the intention is to get rid of the pain of hunger, you'll be satisfied and get up and have all the energy, because you take from the coil what you need, which is the energy to expand. In a space, we don't eat food. We absorb energy what we need. So now, this coil not only gives you the energy to your emotion, it gives you the energy to the physicality to carry on, because now the emotion is the right state of thinking or interaction. Go on the website, go on the whatever is there that you can offer your services to humanity. We try to accommodate. We receive a lot of offers, but still we need experts in certain fields that we can utilize to add, to collect, or in a way to increase the knowledge. Yes. You don't need to put something on top.
If you put a glass of water close to the coils, you
Mhm.
get the energy, you get the fields of the whatever in the water as well. Because we tried it. Even when you put a bottle of water close to the coils, you start seeing bubbles. I mean, seeing bubbles of gases just around the
Forward.
bottle.
Ah.
Yeah.
What Alex is trying to explain, you don't need to do anything. You can put a glass of water near the coils and you receive it. Some of you, is one way I explained to you. If you can make, this is so much cancer in it. If you can make a container of water which sits in the middle and you drink it, you receive what you need from it. No. Close to it, you get what is here. In the center, you get equal. Even if you make a transparent tube, which is hollow in the center, and you can put your glass inside it, you can elevate both the physicality, the soul, and the emotion when you carry the bottle, when you drink from it. Do you have the cup with you? Can you bring the cup? It's downstairs. Marco, can you, or Fabio, can you let Alex to bring a cup up, please, downstairs? Can you open the door for it? Alex has made a copy of the health cups, but in a nano GANs mixture. And he was showing it to me this morning. And I was explaining to him, this is a copy of what I showed. The cups are used in Belgium and here for the processing of the illnesses. And now people are making it. So the what do you call it? The whole of the world has become criminal organization according to the Belgian law, that we try to help each other and help ourselves with the health systems, which is a natural process of the universe. So what is very interesting is I showed, if you remember, in Trani, how the cups are constructed, and I showed how I use the magnets, but in the background I use nanomaterials. What Alex, which is in Unity, I call him the professor, has done is has taken this into the practical steps for his grandfather or for his uncle. And he brought it to me this morning. He said, I built this, what do you think? You see what I call the genius of plasma do. They take the knowledge, they understood it, and they innovated from it. The innovation is fantastic. It's literally the same thing. Next time they call me to go to Belgium to be executed because I use my medical system by the police there and the red circles, you'll understand he'll be with me because he's another murderer and the rest of you. Knowledge to be controlled by the people in Belgium has become a way of threatening the life. The red circle in Belgium, this is how you wrote my execution in Canada for this cup. And he saved your hand and your life. This is the cup. What is done? This is the GANs liquid, and he has used nano-coated coils around it. Exactly the way we showed with the magnets with nanomaterial inside. This cup is good, but this cup has a big flow in it. Or it doesn't have a flow if you want to use it for a specific condition. Do you want to look at it closer? I come closer. I explained to you how this cup is used. The time I used to manufacture the cups, double layer cups like this wasn't in the market. This makes life very easy because now what you can do, as he's filled up with the CO2, he is only touching the emotion. Can you shut down, please? You only touch, Caroline, can you stop that please? I hear interference. Oh. So what do you do? The CO2 interferes, interacts with whatever is inside. Because it's CO2, it only touches the emotion. And because you put the CO2 in, when you touch the cell, you touch the emotion part of the body of the structure. What is done? He has used copper rings inside. These coppers connects the field of the physicality of the red tissue. So now you have this cup. This cup is extremely dangerous because here, which is the air, which is just the emotion, is interacting with the matter state. Unbalanced. So, in fact, when you make these cups, this is a fantastic thing to make, if you can do it. And secondly, if you look, he's followed the same process. The two at the bottom. Left side of the physicality to the right side to the left side, which brings balance. But the flow with this is that you only can use this in the wrong way around. It actually should be like this. Because wherever you use nano-coated, copper especially, you interfere with the neurosystem of the red tissue. One of the biggest problems for me for years was find the neurosystem of ligament, the tendons, which is a transparent. Red tissue, we know, is a copper. The transparent, which is connects the muscle to the bone, has its own neurosystem, its own texture, and you cannot use copper. Ah, she's a medicine woman. She understands. Here, with CO2, you interact with the emotion side of the cell. But you left the physicality to the top. What is going to do the physicality of the cell? You drink it like this. You understand? So when you make these cups, understand the totality. These cups should become one of the most natural things in every man's house. And we all go to the court to Belgium because we're practicing the reality of the creation. What you got to do, you put your, if you want, if it's a psychological problem, is it emotional problem which manifests itself in psychosomatic and physicality, you create a cup like this. But you put it, your physicality down. If it is emotional, depression, only thing you need is CO2 without any coils. Emotional cups should not carry any copper. Only CO2. And if you can put zinc plates, which have zinc oxide in it, which creates is a connection between CO2 and the emotional part of the body of the man. That's why I specifically chose zinc-plated material. That's why I can reach the emotional illnesses very rapidly. When you make a CO2, and especially you try to handle incompetence, sexual incompetence, you make sure you put CO2, which touches emotion, and then zinc, which is what they use in Viagra. And that's why you eat fish. Like oyster, they say it's aphrodisiac, because it carries a lot of zinc in it. So, the zinc plated. You don't put two coils, don't nano-coat coils, the guy will go boom. You don't want to make you unsafe, huh? Lock all the women up. Pardon? Yes, he works. Exactly. He's done it. He knows what I'm talking about. And he says, it works with me good, but with my friends doesn't. Correct? Yes. So, when when you have, or when, because you take from it what you want, is the emotion of the physicality, what you want to accept. This cups, when you make it of the zinc and a CO2 plate, when you make it, you see the zinc like a chalkish sometime at the bottom, or you get the hard zinc, or you see the floating zinc gans. These, you don't use any copper because you're touching the emotion. It's the emotion which is released, leads to the creation what we call the sexual intercourse. That's what you want, to generate something else out of the emotion of giving. So if you make these cups for physical, emotional diseases, very much like Alzheimer's. These are with Alzheimer's, you support little amount of zinc, a little bit of calcium uh, for the structure holding, and some CO2, and a double jar cups like this are gift to people like me who understand how you can change life. You drink the water, you shake it, you put water in there, you need at least 12 hours to get the good results. You can't just put it in and drink it. And it's a long-term process. You need to carry that for 3 to 6 months. And then you find out all the information comes back. Alzheimer's, 80–90% disappears. The incompetence in men usually disappears. If you have a child problem, you can't get pregnant, that should be doing you no harm. The same, let me finish. The same is if you can make these cups with a CO2, which carries the emotion, when the womb cannot inhibit the absorption of a child. You know what I'm talking about. Because you bring peace. Because to create a soul, you need the comfort of the guarantee when you arrive, everything is okay. 90% of the people who can't have children is not physical incompetence, is the interaction of the soul's understanding there is insecurity. That's why the physicality does not appear. It's not the way I can't get pregnant. It's the soul which has to accept the conformation of the existence, that it manifests itself in physical dimension. This is what all of you have not understood. When you create a child, is not that physically egg and a sperm meet each other. Even in the rape cases, what does it happen? Because there is a condition of the acceptance. The acceptance of the souls leads to acceptance of the creation of a soul in part. And then this soul which leads to creation of the physicality. Because if it's wrong, it's not that I did something wrong, that my child is like this and that, but is what this child is there for me to learn from it, that through learning, I can add to his soul. So it manifests itself in any shape or color and size. It's not a punishment, it's for elevation of your soul to understand what you are missing and what you have to add. So if you have a problem, I have a friend of mine, a very good friend of mine, that he flies, as I told you, with things like this on diplomatic bags are made for him. When you make these things, these cups, especially now, there is another one. This came with almond from the US. It's becoming, these are gifts. When the man is ready, the knowledge and the tools will come. Now, these double walls are a gift. Can you disconnect this drill, please? Just let me do it in case we don't touch it. Is we forget and it can become a problem. Thank you very much. These double cups, you see it here, we have, this is a CO2, am I correct? Armand has made it. These CO2 cups, which are filled in with double wall, are highly emotional. And I can hand it from me to you. You drink it and you say there is something wrong with it because you carried my emotion, my intention. It's part of it. Never share emotional cup with nobody else. You make an emotional cup. You make a cup which touches the emotion of the man. Make sure it's used by the man because then you have mixed emotions. Would you like a baby of yours inside? Try to understand what it does and the way it works. So if you have Alzheimer's, these are the best things. If you have a Parkinson, this is part of the answer. You have to find out what caused the Parkinson. Psychological problem behind Parkinson is so huge that man has not come to understand. But in so many ways, every Parkinson is radical. Most of the Parkinson is sexually dependent, as I explained in other teachings, and then it manifests itself, and usually it has to do with a partner. I don't love, I'm not loved enough that I cannot give, that I want to give, and then what happens? The misconduct in behavior, sexual behavior, and ends up with Parkinson. Imagination of physicality with emotion and with a feeling. And then it locks in and the behavior repeats itself. We call it the Parkinson, shaking of the hand. So you got to understand when you make these cups, now that a lot of you has gone into it and you start doing it, especially with double walls becoming so common things, you have to understand the structure. First of all, this is the weakest part because you place most of the things at the bottom. So in fact, if you look at it, that's the human body. Because you decided the brains to be here, left to the right, right to the left. So when you make your cups, you're eating upside down. This is the cup. Undo. Do it. Undo. Use a pen. Where is the pen? Okay, thanks. This is cup. This is the head of the man because you decided the position of left and right. Now you see what you're touching. The feeder, the lungs, the heart. The feeder, the kidney. This is your bit on the thread. Liver, intestine, and everything else. That's all you have. The body is a conversion, storage, cleanup. Finito. Nothing else to it. Then, when you place these, if you are trying to sort out something with the kidney on the left or the right, you have to make sure these two match. Then you have to place this in a position that it can bring field equality in comparison to two, that the two can be in balance, that this becomes in balance, that the four works. So if I was given this to me, this looks like a kidney cup. This sits on the heart. But if you look, you have to have transfer of the energy in respect now that he has put this thing here, these two coils on the kidney level, that there is a transfer of energy in between the two. Because it's a nanomaterial. So the same, this has to have a flow back. So if this is north side or exit of the field, you see the fly is here now, the microphone, it goes with it. And the south side here. Are you trying to give? Are you trying to take? If the system kidney needs support, you put two exits facing each other, which means you feed the environment. If the kidney has a stone in it and you want to take the kidney stone out, it means you have to reduce the field, which means you put two entry points on it, which means you take from the stone, you take from the kidney environment, you change what this does. In fact, you change the environment of the kidney. And the stones are created because of that environment, or the disease is created because of that environment. So now you change the environment, it cannot exist. So the material moves, it changes, and in changing, you alleviate the disease. This is what the plasma technology is not just pushing because whatever, is understanding the interaction of the fields without medicine. This is the universal. So this is how you help yourself in space. Understand it, how you do it. You're needing to add, you need to take what created it, what does this condition lead to, and then all you need to do in all the technology of the structure of the man, not only the man. If you understood this, you land on planet Zeus, you see illnesses, people dying of, beings are being ending termination of life, and you see is a change of environment. All you need to do is change the environment. They'll survive. I'm not making a physician for you on this planet. I'm making a physician of you for the universe. That when you understand this, doesn't matter what entity I give you. You see problem, you understand, it cannot be anything but the interaction of the fields. You change the environment in a way that is acceptable to the rest of the body. You change the position, there is no else. The two people here working on this side, Francois, and I always remember, don't remember Daniela's name. I don't know why. It's like, no, Stanley. I don't know why I never remember these names. I know why, but it's a very different story. Because Stanley to me is Lauren Hardy, but he's not one, just it doesn't fit in, so I forget the name. It's very strange, but it's the way the brain works. I'm not multitask. So you change the environment. You achieve what you want. You are working on the plans to develop this technology for a space. You look, you put a CO2, but see what you do if you put the CO2 a slightly in different angle. If they die, it means you're feeding too much, or they don't want to accept because this is not the environment they want to live in. If they flourish, why they want to flourish the way they do. So in every disease, when you look at this cup is made to me for a kidney emotion, which means I don't want to absorb anything. But what was the problem of the grandfather, Alex? Who did you make this cup for? Your uncle. What is the problem? Yeah, he wants to live longer. You want him to live longer. This is the biggest mistake you ever made. You never make him a cup. You should ask him, do you have a desire to enjoy life better? And if his answer is sincerely yes, you already made a cup for him to kill him with his kidneys. Because he wants to live more, but the kidneys are not there to support, but it's not there. And secondly, what you do is when you turn it upside down, this is the atmosphere and this is the physicality. So with all these cups, when you make them, when you put the CO2 in them, it's not just drinking the water to support the emotional part of the physical part. You have to support the emotion of the emotional part too. So you have to, this water, what you drink, you support the emotional part of the kidney. But now you need to support the emotional side of the brain too. And the only way you support the emotional part of the brain is through breathing. So you need to drink the water and to breathe from the cup. That you bring balance between the physicality and emotion in all cells of the body of the mind. So when you make these cups and you just drink, you solve half the problem and say it doesn't work because, again, you haven't understood. Body of the man has an emotion and it has a physicality. With the water, you fed through the stomach the physicality, but you forgot to give him the same straw to breathe, to support and balance the emotion, which is through the blood. There is a question. But understand, when you want to strengthen the emotion faster, you use a straw. You always drink from the bottom top because this is like a brain. It comes from there, it carries all the information and it gets strengthened to the bottom. So when you see people drinking like this from the top, you have a mixture. But if you want a perfect result, you always breathe from the bottom and you always drink from the bottom up because everything, all the information is embedded in the energy gravitational magnetic field and you just take it in. Liquid feeds your physicality, your limbs. The breathing feeds your lung, your emotion. And then you find out, this is what we said from the beginning of all the teachings, that the blood is for emotion and lymph is for physicality. And when the neural system energy balance difference accepts the three, it becomes cell. So every cell of you has and carries emotion. So when you drink, you feed the emotional part of the cell, but you do not feed the master which created the current for it to be created, which comes from your brain, your emotional part of your brain. So it comes only, that part only gets fed, there is no muscles in it. It only gets fed through the CO2 and zinc, and that is what you need to breathe to support the two together. Your question?
Do you apply the same way with the cup with just the gans? Do you also breathe from it and not only drinking from it?
Yes, both. You always have to.
You have to use it in combination.
Yes, because you can't, you're becoming lump-sided. You work with one thing. You need to work with two legs. One leg is emotion, one leg is the emotion of physicality. You have to cover the both and the physicality. If the disease is based on physical tissues in the stomach, in liver, in whatever, it always needs a CuO2 or CuO as a gas, because this is a state of master of control of nervous system of the, what do you call it, the tissue. And then if you want to go into understanding of the lymph cancers and connection problems with the ligaments, understand why. Why lymph is so transparent? Why is it clear? Why the tendons are clear? They are not red. Clarity is the strength of the higher energy. So lymph is highly potential energy. So you work with that structure. when you want to eradicate problems with the lymph cancer and that kind of thing, you have to understand the total physiology of the mixture of the lymph, and then you create the same cup in the opposite. Lymph cancers, if you know how to create the right cups for them, can be reversed more or less instantaneously, because it goes in, immediately changes direction of the strength of the field motion. You change them, you move them. You do the same when it comes to cancers with the immune system. Any cancer which is immune connection system, I've told you this before, you use always, you have to, without a failure, potassium and calcium. Calcium is the bone structure. And in all the immune systems, in every T cells, B cells, we always carry calcium. So you need to lock to it, strengthen it. Potassium has the direction of the, especially potassium carries, K40 carries a radioactive capacity, which means it releases a lot of energy. It allows the calcium, which absorbs into the immune system, which is the center core of the amino acid, to be strengthened. When it arrives at the point of where the infection or where the cancer is so powerful that in energy balance, because it takes more, it's more powerful, it's got a greater gravitational, it changes the position of the cancer, eradication is imminent. Understand? You work by the strength of the gravitational magnetic field and not by just matter. In the body, the calcium and the potassium only work as a field. What you can connect to them and what strength you can get.
I think we have a slight glitch in our sound here as the battery is replaced in the microphone. Bear with us.
Rick, while he's doing that, maybe I can say that on my YouTube channel, if you search Robert Stubblefield, there is instant results on there for anybody who doesn't believe that this works. I got fed up a little while back and with people saying things about Mr. Keshen, so I put that on there just so people could actually see the instant results, kind of, just so people know that it's out there. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So what happens, you look at the collective. A lymph carries all the energies of the full spectrum of every element in the body of the man. It's the intention, which is the emotion, through the nervous system, which delivers what that material becomes. So if I am a father, I'm not happy with my children, my son is the worst thing ever happened to me, I want to make sure I don't generate any more children, especially no son. And where do I create this son from? Testicles. And it's controlled by your prostate. If I can stop the flow, which is the prostate, then I won't create another one to harm me. Prostate cancer. So now, when you go to solve a prostate cancer, you don't want to make a material to do the prostate. You go to touch the emotion of the brain that the child is safe. This time is you who your expectation is different than what you wanted. It's you who has to understand what you created is perfect, but even though it doesn't match yours. Overnight, there is no cancer. You're a mother, you have a problem with your daughter, you want to make sure you don't make another woman like this, that you can give life to another life. Breast cancer. And how do you deliver it? Through the calcium, through your bone, through your own immune system, because that's how you always done it. You sort out the source, not the effects. The same. The same. When you find out, we were talking about the women who have what I call imbalances in the womb. Comes in different shapes and forms. Why? You find they're happy with the marriage, they're happy in having a man, you have no problem. The manifestation of unbalance comes with the psychological, is not what I want, at least I create a problem, I don't get touched. Understand the source, then you don't need to go to elaboration of operations and the rest of it. We've seen many times, most of you have. A couple live together for years, they can't have children, they marry two different people, both have children. What was wrong? Because the expectation of the soul was not there. It'll never lead to physicality, where you think the physicality will lead to the creation of the soul. Unbalances in physical condition is normal. Even that you can overcome with the right emotion. Understand the process. From now on in a space, if you come across the energy and suddenly you see you're getting a third arm coming out, how did it come a third arm? I only had two. Because the energy has touched the production side of your brain, which in that environment, you need three arms. You became a monkey instead of the tail, now you have two arms, plus the third one. And if it doesn't harm you, it means you need it in where you're going, because your soul has the information about your arrival, it already makes the physicality ready for it. So how come it's any different with the child? Make your cups in understanding the totality, not just doing something, because in that process, as our dearest friends they say, and I keep on repeating the Indians, Neem Hakim Khatar Jan, it means half doctor can kill you. Study the totality when you're making something, not just randomly to see what happens. A microphone. I'm a sound engineer now. Just wait. Yeah, you gotta press it. So.
Can you actually make it as like for a family in a ceramic where you hold the water? You've seen
Pardon?
those oval ceramic that you has got a twist and you can have the water to be released, and it's an oval shape.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Um,
It's a container. Yeah.
yeah, but it's made out of ceramic.
Let me
And
explain
it
to you, ceramics, especially on the condition of the physicality of this earth, is usually what is this planet is made of. If you understand the use of ceramic in a way the ceramics are made, they are one of the past solutions to total eradication of most of the physical diseases. But you have to understand it. I always said, ceramic, especially how you fire it, what you put in it, is the source of a lot of other things. You can use the ceramic for the human conditions in your double coil. Okay, you understand.
to put the CO2 around it and
Whenever you use CO2, you touch the emotion. That doesn't do any. Understand why. Let me explain to you why. Don't accept it, repeat it again to understand why it touches the emotion. The earth has atmosphere, as we always say, and the physical part. The atmosphere has led to the creation of amino acids. And the physical part is your metals and the others. You don't have carbon here or oxygen. It comes from this part, which is directly from the emotional side of the physicality, detachment from physicality. That's why you don't use copper. Copper is your physical part. Amino acid is the emotional part of the life of a man. Detachment from the physical earth. So you don't use, whenever you use CO2, you touch the emotion because it's connected to the amino acid, which is the original creation of life. That's why CO2 liquid touches herbs, touches plants, touches, what do you call it, man, touches animal. Because with CO2, you interact with the full amino acid structure without physicality. You can have a full life without this. When you connect it with this, as you've seen in the teaching, when you connect it with iron, hemoglobin, magnesium, something else, you create a different environment, the fish, but all of them have, this is a couple. That's why the CO2 interacts with the fish. This is what we were talking last time with Alex. You interact through the CO2 through the energy transfer of the amino acid of CO2, the carbon and oxygen. Any other question, or shall we call it a day? By the way, it's 10:77 now, so we're still doing well.
Mr. Cash, this is Thomas from Vienna. I got a question for you.
Is who?
Thomas from Vienna.
Hello, Vienna.
Hello there. It might not be really plasma related, but I just want to get your thoughts on this. Google and NASA yesterday released that they finally got a quantum computer working. So,
pardon?
They got a quantum computer working finally. Google and NASA announced it yesterday.
Yeah.
And the question is, like DARPA and other corporations are building robots and artificial intelligence and so on.
DARPA?
DARPA, yeah.
Yeah, but DARPA is NASA. It's the black money of the NASA is called DARPA. Let me explain to you. DARPA has a $200 billion budget with 450 staff. NASA has 18 billion budget with 7,000 staff. The black side of the DARPA goes to NASA, but that's another part of it. So it's actually one company in different names.
Yep.
I know them because they banned me from NASA. That's how I came to know who DARPA is, because they control the NASA. So they're all doing it together.
So my question is, for me, it looks like they are really trying to, you can always only call it like Skynet or something, with the internet and quantum computer and like artificial intelligence. What are your thoughts on these topics?
We have a better intelligence of artificial real intelligence. Marco is building it downstairs. Wireless, we announced this a long time ago. We showed it originally 2 years ago on the table upstairs in the Sansano. It is a condition of wireless, non-connective plasmatic interaction. It's the brain. Marco is building it downstairs.
But it's just another expression of the creator itself, right?
It creates itself and it decides itself in setting up itself. It's you who have to find out how to connect to it, that it can release what you want. In the future, wire connection, what do you call it, manually controlled systems or electronic control computers is useless. The vibration of the electron is too weak to control. Your emotion is much faster and direct. And by the way, Google is part of the American organization system, part of NASA in a different name, belongs to the, what do you call it, to Illuminatis. They're owned by them.
So is this a good thing or a...
Yeah, it's all the same, but they add to give each other's credibility, but it's all the same family.
Mm.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good friends. We know them well enough.
Mr. Kish, I know you want to leave there soon, but maybe we'll get one more question from Emmanuel Ernst, who's been waiting here for a while to ask Plasma.
Emmanuel, from where?
Hello, Cash. Mr. Cash, I'm Manuel from Austria, Carinthia.
From Austria?
Yes, Carinthia.
Yes. Yeah.
When the plasma is a source to all potentials and the mind is the interface to it, for me, then the effective and usage of it then depends on the power and the quality of the mind, of the intention. So I think for me, it will be a good way to spend the half of the time to work with coils, scans, and the technology, and the other half to train the ability of my mind to holding an inner picture of what I want to achieve, to reveal the ability for a deeper interaction with the plasma field.
So you decide.
Yeah, I think it's the technologies for me are, in my mind, limited to my own mind, how I how I can handle it.
In a way, this is what you say is what I've been saying for a long time. Every man takes from this technology according to his own intelligence. And the intelligence doesn't come on how much I understand. Intelligence comes from how much I'm prepared to share unconditionally.
Yes.
And we've seen that with Alex, we've seen it with Benjamin, we've seen it with a number of people around the Keshe Foundation. And when
Yeah.
they become very much self-centered, then they disappear and they can't remember and they're exhausted and tired. Because when you share knowledge, you always receive more, you have more to give, and tiredness and exhaustion and the rest does not count.
Yeah, it's the how long for me. It's how long to hold the state of this unconditionally love. You know.
In a way, we've seen it both sides of the line.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, Mr. Kesh.
Nearly 1 o'clock, we close the session for today. Thank you very much for joining us.
Are you going to come back this afternoon, or do we do a private teaching, or what's happening?
I think we got to do a private teaching because after today is the last day of the teaching, and we have to bring the private teaching to a closure, a conclusion for the students for this term, because that's the end. We didn't do it yesterday. But what I would like to transfer the knowledge and in so many ways, the understanding that all your energy units work. The reduction in power is according to what you expect. We have shown it, the system here, and you have to move your load or check your meters. You already received your reduction on your meters, even though you've been blind to it, or at least never understood. Start using your systems according to what we explained in positioning the load between the meter and before, not the way you are physically used to. Everything has to be after. You plug a machine and you see the motor running, then it works. With plasma technology, it's the balance of the reverse. What you give back as generosity, you collect your back behind the system, before it, and not after it. And if you create balance enough, you can do it on both sides. On the other hand, what we understood is the coils and power units were a decoy to bring you to understand the work of the plasma or the work of the universe, and how from now on you can use these rings as a means and a source of food and water. If you remember, weeks ago I said the next unit will be a unit which creates water, and now you understand how. Because we create the condition of the balance of the water inside the system, and we will see what and how things can be created and is created. Is the door open? The window on the top is open. It's a cable. Leave it. It's okay. So what you understand is now you can use these coils or make systems to transfer the energy of these coils into what you need, the way you need. You've seen it, you can hold them and absorb what you need from them. In a normal physics, this should electrocute you. But as you're not connecting to a matter state, you're still taking from the same skin energy to run the light. So you're absorbing energy what you need. You have to decide from now on how you want to receive it, what you want to receive, the amount you want to receive. My biggest warning to you is be aware of the enemies of humanity under the cover of what they call you, whatever name. They've been paid to do this because now they lose their income. We explained because a lot of you are coming up with new technologies, new concepts, which was and is the purpose of the foundation, and you get attacked by what these are called hooligans. We've seen one or two people totally disappearing because of them, like Peter in Austria. Alex was strong enough to come out. But anytime you receive a threat, just write to them, you're murderers. He sits and controls by huge finance. He has so much power that you don't understand. On Facebook, I'm an international public figure. The first day the attack came from Red Circle, the people in Antwerp, I don't exist in Wikipedia. Now you understand who they are and how they operate. These are paymasters. They have paymasters. They receive a lot of money to intimidate. It's only 21 of them. Now you have the name of the first murderer on the internet. Find it. They put it on. He put it on himself. Anytime any of you receive any threat, you know on what door to knock. Now, we told you we're going to publish their name, but they got so frightened, 2 or 3 disappeared, and the others are releasing their name addresses. So stay solid. Use the technology for peace. Use the technology for understanding of the peace. Use the technology to elevate the others to create a condition of peace. And I still say, and I still emphasize, our hand of peace from Iran goes to the nation of Israel. If we can get the agreement from the Prime Minister of Israel, the Iranian government is open for negotiation of peace for Palestine, the Middle East, and the rest. As a senior advisor, I advise the Israeli government in one direction. Peace sits with you as nation, which 30% is Iranian. And with this technology, we can change your mind, or in other way, we can meet anywhere you choose to start the peace talks, or it will be enforced on you through the balance of your own emotion. Thank you very much for today. We'll see you next Thursday as usual. And on the other hand, please be safe. Do not touch the coils if you are not sure it's fully nano-coated and fully GaNs. You only receive the energy if you have used the GaNs, and the energy you receive is the GaNs energy which you receive, and no more, because you have put the limitation by the material you use. Thank you very much for today.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Kesh. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, that's the end of the 91st Cash Knowledge Seekers Workshop for Thursday, December 10th, 2015. And as always, thank you everyone across the universe for attending.